What's going on, drinking buddies? Brand new podcast coming right at you, but real quick, got a couple words for you before we start this episode. First and foremost, we are brought to you by the video versions of this podcast. That's right. Experience the madness in full HD on Vimeo at anwd.net/videos. Once again, that is anwd.net/videos. 99 cents an episode or $6 a month get you unlimited streaming of all 98 episodes. 99, yeah. I think there's 99 video episodes at the moment. It's hard to keep track sometimes. I'm doing a lot of fucking content. We also have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/nowwedrink where there are clips, highlights, and a couple full video episodes. And if we can successfully monetize the YouTube channel, I will probably try to move everything from Vimeo over to YouTube. But in the meantime, go to Vimeo to experience the full video versions of this podcast. We are also brought to you by my Twitch stream. That's right. Since the pandemic started, I am Twitch streaming 4 or 5 nights a week, playing a bunch of different video games. Come hang out at the chat at twitch.tv/MattFNSlayer. Once again, that is twitch.tv/MattFNSlayer. We have a new sponsor here in the third slot of the ad roll. Go to www.anwd.net/episodes, and there is now an Amazon affiliate banner. If you shop on Amazon, do me a solid. Click on the banner. It costs you nothing and generates some revenue for the show. Take you 2 minutes to go click on the banner. Boom. So I appreciate the hell out of all of you. And let's get on with the show. My guest this week is adult performer Nolina Nyx. Nolina is a brand new performer, but even though she is brand new, she has had some really interesting life experiences. She spent half the pandemic in Peru, has performed some other forms of sex work before getting into the adult entertainment biz. She is definitely a name and face to remember. So sit back, relax, pop a cold one, and enjoy Drinking Buddies. How the fuck are you?
I'm so well. I'm so happy to be here. This is so exciting.
Hell yeah, it's exciting for me too. Like, it was just like the fates willed it. Oh.
Yeah.
I wake up to a text message, less than a week ago, like, hey, you gotta check out Nolina. She's trying to get into podcast and help her out. And then here we are.
Angel, thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so nervous though, but excited.
Don't worry. I only consensually bite.
Oh. Ooh.
And I haven't figured out how to do it remotely yet, so you're safe. Don't worry.
Great.
For the audio audience,
of my own home.
She looks like she's coming to us from a beach house. Like, I see towels, it looks like hanging.
Oh yeah, they are. Are they? Yeah, I live next to the beach. It's a beachfront place.
Oh, hell yeah.
Beachfront apartment.
Hell yeah.
But I won't tell you what beach.
No, I wasn't going to ask. I'm not, like, trying to set the stalkers in motion. Don't worry.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Yeah. First thing we did when we, got on the call was like, oh, that's a name you probably don't want to display.
Oh, yeah, my real name. Oh, God.
Yeah, didn't want to do all that. Like, I'm like, no, let's not get you in trouble here. Like, you're still real new, and we don't want you to have those fucking pitfalls. Those weird motherfuckers will come out of the woodwork eventually anyways. We don't need to encourage them.
Yeah, I'm already getting them online a little bit. I'm like, okay. I'm deleting all my personal stuff.
Has that been a weird transition already? Like, as you've been stepping into the limelight, motherfuckers just coming out being weird?
Yeah. And, I mean, there's people in my personal life who have showed up and, like, they're finding me, which is fine. I'm pretty open. Just don't bother me.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if you were doing any other job, people shouldn't, come out of the woodwork to fucking bother you about it. It's weird that, oh, hey, you're deciding to do pornography, and all of a sudden, like, oh, hey, I know we haven't talked in 20 years, but how you doing, girl?
don't have a chance. I'm like, yeah, you still don't have a chance.
Like, what makes you think now you would have more of a chance than when you did before I was famous? Like, had any infamy?
Yeah.
Like, you do realize I get paid to have sex. That means I'm not starved for it. So I'm not desperate to get laid here. And if your personality wasn't shining through 20 years ago, probably.
You were kind of a bully to me in high school. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so funny.
It's weird how people like do that shit. Like, even for me, like, I've never been a performer, but I've had friends, people I knew back in the day start coming out of the woodwork like, oh, hey, can you introduce me to so-and-so? Like, can you, I saw, that girl was on your show. Can you introduce me? Like, yeah. No, man. No, why the fuck would I do that?
Yeah, people are like that though. And I'm like, what? Okay, so they think I'm just like this mega slut, like just so desperate for anything out there. And I'm like, yeah, there's plenty lined up already. Thank you.
Yeah. There's plenty lined up, and there's probably more trying to cut the line as is, besides the motherfucker who bullied you back in the day.
Exactly. You're such an asshole. You never forget those things.
Like, oh, hey, provider of my childhood trauma? Yes, I would definitely love to open my legs for you. What was I thinking?
Yeah, what was I thinking? Or there's these saviors now. So I have like people trying to save me, like, are you okay? I heard what you're doing. And I'm like, I've been a sex worker for a long time already. Like, don't bother me. Fuck off.
Yeah. The Captain Save-A-Hose will be plentiful, and they will be there for your whole career. They like to act like you didn't choose this lifestyle. Like, blink twice if someone's holding you hostage and forcing you to work in porn. Just blink twice for me. Oh, hey, look, she didn't blink. No one's forcing her to do this shit.
I'm doing it all on my own.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, a woman doesn't have agency over her own fucking body? Like, what the fuck?
Fucking amen. It's like, why just for me to have sex with multiple people is like, I mean, this is the basic argument, right? But like, it is so natural. I don't understand. That's a whole different story. Maybe we don't go there.
Oh, no, we can definitely go there. We can definitely go there. This is a real fucking conversation. We can definitely go there. Like, it's such a weird societal fucking, it's so fucked in society where it's like, oh, as a dude, like, obviously, I want a woman that's going to have sex, but she can't have too much sex. Whoa, that's bad.
She might be, literally women who are having sex more are proven to be happier. It's like proven. So like a society where women are free to have sex more without the shame and guilt and bullshit, we're all going to be happier. Like, we need this.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'd be really, really bummed if, like, I had a partner who was, like, completely inexperienced and nervous, like, when it was time to have sex. Like, no, you gotta have fucking experience. Like, it's natural.
Yes.
It's natural for anyone who's inexperienced to feel nervous. Like, no, I want, like, to get down with someone who's had a bunch of sex, is super comfortable with it. Maybe show me a thing or two.
Yes, amen. I don't like it when people are virgins.
Have you taken a bunch of virginities? I gotta know.
Maybe 3. I think 3.
You think 3? You're not sure?
I have a really good story about one.
Oh,
with my.
Please tell me.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say on here.
Well, just don't name names. Don't name names. Like.
Okay, everything is fiction that I'm about to say. This kid, he worked at Target for months, and he saved up all his cash to meet me because I was an escort. Nothing illegal. I was just an escort. And he was a virgin. And so like he saved up all his money to see me for a few hours. And I was like, why? He's like, I want you to take my virginity. Like, he had an obsession with me. And I felt like so much. I took the money. I'm so fucked up. But like, I felt so much guilt.
Why do you feel fucked up about that? Like, it's your fucking job.
Right, it was my job. I was just like, poor guy.
I mean, it's not like, yo, you were dating the dude from Target and you're like, yo, I'd love to take your virginity, but you gotta pay. Like, no, it's business. Like, it's work.
hmm
Like,
hmm
if you were
And
the
it was worth it for him.
right, and if you're the person selling him his cake, you wouldn't feel bad about selling him his birthday cake because it was his fucking birthday.
Right. Okay.
So
That's fair.
you're providing a good or service. That's what money changes hands for.
uh, it's true. I think he was just the sweetest, like most innocent little like 23-year-old. And he was just so sweet. He like brought me chocolate. Yeah, anyway.
Oh no, I want to hear this whole story. Like, tell me the whole story. I want to hear the whole story of how this went down. Like,
Okay, so I do really when I was escorting, I did really well with my background checks, and I was like really picky about who I saw.
as you should.
Oh, but I
Be
worked.
fucking safe. Like,
Yeah, which is a whole nother story. And okay, so he like passed. He showed me he was a student. He didn't show me his job, and then he came in and he was I can't give too much information. How do I explain? He was timid. You could tell he was sweet. He was in school to be an engineer, so he was gonna make money eventually. and and he was like, "I saved to meet you." And I was like, "You're lying. I don't believe you." He's like, "No, really, I've saved up to meet you." I'm like, and he had his like Target stuff with him. He came after work, and I was like, "Oh, you really do work at Target?" I was like, I can't wait to tell all my friends this. And it was the first guy I took anyone like I never took a guy's virginity before this. And so it was like a big deal for me. It was like a life moment. And I talked to him for like an hour, and then we we had sex, and it lasted about a minute. And he was like, "Thank you so much."
yeah, man. He spent money to spend time with you, and you felt that you wanted to take his virginity. That's cool.
Maybe that's not even a good story. It's just so basic.
I mean, it's not everyone's life experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, that's the thing. Like, once you live it a while, yeah, might be a basic story to you, but someone else that's like, wow, that's something they would never even consider.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's what I've learned also about escorting. I want to write a memoir eventually and like just write down my stories and put them out there. Yeah.
you should. You should.
Thanks.
I know from other friends who have done escorting, like some of the shit gets fucking wild.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I have crazy stories.
I have friends who were like, yeah, I didn't even really have, it never got to that point with that dude. Like, I just went over there and like made a couple $1,000s to sit on the couch, hang out, watch movies while the dude smoked meth. Like, it's just weird shit sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I got paid $1,000 one time just to teach a guy how to kiss. Like for like 30 minutes, you know?
Oh man. That's wild because it's like, what you may like, the next person you kiss may not be into that.
Yeah, but I didn't tell him that.
Well, obviously, you're not going to take your like that'd be poor salesmanship. Totally, it'd be like, yo, hey, I'm not going to necessarily give you skills that translate universally. Like, no, you're trying to make this fucking sale.
Right.
No,
Right.
I totally get it. It's just funny to me.
It's a hustle.
Exactly. Like, it's 100% a hustle, and it's a interesting fucking hustle. It's because it's all sorts of walks of life. I mean, because it's taboo to most mainstream society. Where my theory on it is, correct me if you disagree, is escorting, prostitution, whatever you want to call it, is only really taboo for the middle class.
Okay, yeah.
Where, people that are really working class or poorer, often make use of streetwalkers, street level sex workers. And people with real money make use of higher end escorts. It's just the middle class who will be like, no, I would never do that. Paying for it's wrong.
It's always so funny. It's always that conversation. I'm like, yeah, you're in a codependent relationship. Very one-sided.
Well, and the thing about it is, like, people have needs, and, like, the guy who's working at Target who's looking to better himself, there's probably nothing wrong with that dude. He was probably just fucking nervous, awkward, had problems meeting women.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets to tell, his friends at some point, be like, especially when your career gets even bigger, be like, look who I got to fuck.
Yeah. Well said. I never thought I would do porn. It's so interesting. They always told me, there's no money in porn. Why would you do porn? Just escort. There's no money in porn. Like, you get paid $1,000 maybe for a scene, and you can get that escorting. And now, like, OnlyFans has blown up, and wow, you can really make some money with your own content and be your own boss.
You 100% can. And also, porn is a safer working environment in the grand scheme of things.
Totally.
Everyone who's on a set is pretty known. It's, you haven't been around a ton of time, but it's a pretty insular community, and it's very high school. Like, people gossip.
I have learned this. And everyone knows everyone. It's small.
Oh, yeah. And, it's tiny. It's a tiny industry. Everyone knows everybody. Especially if you've been around for any length of time. Everybody knows everybody. And, like, but it's a safe working environment. Like, you are probably going to work with maybe 10, 15 guys. Maybe, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And all those guys, for the most part, it's not they're going to be their first scene. They're going to be a known commodity. Where no matter how much you vet someone you're escorting with, it may go bad.
Yeah, totally. And I've already learned quickly that in this line of work, at least the men know what they're doing. So I'm actually enjoying sex a lot.
Well, yeah, because you're dealing with a professional, and you are not just there to provide gratification for your client.
Yeah. The only thing I'm like getting is like putting on the show. I'm kind of tired of putting on the show. I want to actually enjoy it. So I was like, is there a way to like merge those two?
I couldn't answer that for you. Hopefully there is. Hopefully there is. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's work. At the end of the day, no job you show up to and you're like, I'm excited to be here every fucking day. There's no job in the world. No matter how much you love your job, there are just some days where you're like, roll up and like, I just don't feel like fucking working today.
Right.
But you still have to go. You still have to do your fucking job.
Right.
So some scenes you have to fucking sell it a little more than, enjoy it. It happens.
It's part of the fun acting.
Exactly. It's part of the glamour.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, because I'm so new, I feel like I'm like trying to win an Oscars when it comes to the acting. So I'm like, all right, Meryl Streep, here we go. And then they're like, chill out, it's just porn. Like, calm down.
Yeah, the bar's a little lower sometimes. But the thing about it is, if you keep knocking it out and people are happy, you'll just get bigger roles. People will want to book you. You'll be in higher demand. Like, I don't think anyone, I mean, I'm sure somebody's into it, but I don't think the majority of the audience wants to watch someone who doesn't look like they're enthusiastic about it.
Right. I mean, of course. That's the point. I mean, unless it's part of the scene.
Right. If it's part of the fucking scene, of course, you do what's required for the scene. But your average bread and butter fucking boy-girl scene, or even girl-girl scene, people want to look like, feel like you're fucking thrilled to fucking be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the looking back, the lip bites, the like. Exactly. Fucking vamping it up.
It's fun. It's actually natural for me because I really do want to fuck. And I like girls. And I am not used to girls who like girls. I am used to girls that like to play like they like girls to make the guy happy. Yeah.
No dating girls in real life, or successfully at least?
I mean, yeah, I've had some good experiences. But in the grand scheme of things, I meet a lot of girls who don't, or maybe they're just like not comfortable yet. I don't know.
Yeah, hey, for sure. Well, hopefully one day you will, find a lovely young lady off camera who's willing to rock your world and is totally down.
I do have one girlfriend. She's great.
See.
Yeah, she's fun. But I like all women. Like, I would love to be with a woman, which I'm sure I will be, that has like a body like mine. Because I haven't been with like voluptuous women much. Giving you the hands.
Oh, don't worry, they're out there. They'll find you.
Yeah. Hi, come find me.
Right? She's down. Just, come knocking.
Yeah.
But so it's been pretty much a positive experience so far.
Yeah, it's been really great. I definitely see the faults already, or some faults already in the industry, which I figured were there.
Well, what faults have you
yeah.
seen?
I see a lot of, I am totally for the money hustle. Like, I want to make a lot of money. Let's do the money hustle. But when there's this fear and tension around money, or like, I got to get control of your content, and I'm not calling anyone specific. I've seen this with other people. Like, I want to get in on this and this, which I get it. It's a business model and do it, but just being in integrity with the person. And I've seen some not so integral people or ways about doing it.
Unfortunately, that does happen because entertainment in general has some people in it that don't have the best integrity in the world. My first entertainment lawyer once told me, you got to have a little larceny to make it in this business.
Makes sense.
But people have, some bad experiences, and they just translate it over to all their business going forward. And unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast. You only takes getting burned once.
Yeah.
I
the
know.
Good thing is.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Oh, I was going to say.
I was just going to. Go ahead. You go.
I know some performers that like flat out refuse to do content trades at this point because they've been burned on them too many times.
What does that mean exactly by being burned?
So, for example, like, say you and another performer do a content trade. They're like, oh, I'm going to take the SD cards and the hard drives back. I'll edit it for you, and I will give you your copy of the footage to do with you. And then they release it before they even give you the content, shit like that.
No. But everyone knows everyone. So, like, why would they do that?
Because they can get away with it. Unfortunately, though everyone knows everyone, there is still a lot of turnover in this business.
True. Yeah, that's a good point.
And, the average performer doesn't even make it a year.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, female. Like, male talent, once you're in, tends to stick around. But there's a ton of turnover on, like, almost all the performers I worked with when I started getting in have been out for years.
Wow. So, it will be good if I get over a year. Like, why do they leave?
I mean, it's a ton of reasons. One, not everyone's here for the same fucking reason. Some people enter the industry because some boyfriend convinces them that it would be hot, and then they don't really consider the consequences of what working in this industry is. The fact that it is difficult to fucking date as a performer.
Yeah, totally.
It carries a lot of stigma in society. Being a sex worker is not a protected class. And if you want to go work in another field down the road, you very well may be disqualified for it.
Yeah.
They meet some...
which blows my mind. Like, I keep forgetting about society.
Or they meet some dude who's, like, not down with it. Like,
yeah.
Which is the biggest hypocrisy ever. It's like, you were a sex worker when I met you, but, I'm going to Captain Save a Hoe for you. Like, I'm going to take you away from this life. And then they up and leave.
I have such an interesting, like, perspective, I think. One, because I don't really date ever. And I don't really, it's not, like, on my mind like it is for other people. And two, like, my life is so involved with plant medicine, which is also way outside of society in many ways, of psychedelics, like, not so accepted. So, like, I'm already in that field, and plus escorting. So I don't want to live in normal society. Like, I do not care. So I have like this, I don't get affected by these things that other women do. Or, I'm not perfect, but
Well, certainly.
different.
But it's all why people entered the industry. It's some people entered the industry because it was a financial business decision. Some people just want to be in front of the fucking camera. Some, you know, some people, this was a destination that they didn't really plan on, but like they came out to Hollywood with another dream and just ended up here. Like, there's 100 different reasons why people got in the business. So
Yeah.
it doesn't work out for everybody. Like, people have some bad experiences falling with some bad people, or can't deal with the internet backlash. Like, fucking
Oh,
have
yeah.
backlash from their fucking families. They give a fuck about what their family's opinion is about what they're doing. Like, you cannot hide this from your fucking friends and family. They will find out.
Right.
And if you're
Right.
and if you're not comfortable with that shit, don't do it.
Yeah.
Some people are just eventually get tired of the hustle because you always do have to, like, you know, you're under a microscope 24/7. Like, what you say on any social media may get used against you. It may cost you jobs. You know,
Yeah.
and unlike a lot of lines of work, you have no guaranteed salary. Like, COVID, for performers that were just performing and weren't doing the OnlyFans hustle, didn't have other income streams, probably devastated a lot of them.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of reason why people get out. Or some people just have no ambition besides being in front of the camera and have no post-porn plan. Because eventually,
Yeah, I'm getting that. I'm sorry. Oh, what you said about ambition, I I feel that a lot, and it kind of, I'm like so philosophical and deep, blah blah blah. So like sex work means so much to me, and like my understanding of just basic humanity, and also like my shamanic work, like it means so much to me, and I like wish I had a good way to explain it to people of like why it's so important. And then when people do sex work, they understand the meaning and the purpose behind their work. It's not just fucking. It's so, I mean, it's so dramatic, but like it's hard for people to conceptualize that.
well,
Yeah.
there's 100 different, well, not 100 different reasons, but there's a lot of different reasons why someone would see a sex worker. Like, you know, it's not just cut and dry of like, oh, I just want to get off. Like, there are much cheaper ways than I have no clue what your rate was, but I'm sure there are much cheaper ways to get off than having to save up your target salary to bust a nut.
Totally, totally. I mean, like, okay, so there's this basic, like a little bit of what I'm thinking. Like, there's the basic thing of like people are looking for companionship, and I was more like a therapist than anything, or like just someone to spend time with outside of their circle. Um, and then the other thing is just like, who holds the shame of society? Sex workers and prisoners, but like let's just go back to sex workers. We hold so much shame, and we're not dangerous people. We're not hurting anyone. We're like, we're doing what everyone else is doing. It's just for money. And holding that shame of society and being like strong in it and like being happy and like just not taking it back on from people shifts society like naturally, because it like that's their own shame coming onto me, and when I don't let it hit me, they have to, it comes back in their face and they have to grow up.
Hopefully they have to
Or
grow.
they don't.
Yeah.
Or they don't. But they just like, things are changing really fast, I think.
Yeah. Hopefully we will see some decriminalization in sex work happen in the next
Totally.
10 years. Hopefully. It's not like the olden times. Like, yeah, I understand back in the day, people were worried about sex work. Like, because there were communicable diseases and people viewed women as property. But it's 2021.
Right. Yeah, totally.
We have, shots for most of it, and women are their own people. So
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no real reason. And hell, we've done laws recently in America that were supposed to protect sex workers from being exploited, but ended up hurting them.
Yes. Oh, I love those ones. Right? Gosh, that made me so mad.
And it's unfortunately, we as a society are still attempting to control women. Like, oh, hey, you can't have an abortion if you don't want to, or if you
Yeah.
want to, or you can't like, I can't pay you $1,000 to have sex with you, but I could definitely take you to Red Lobster.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Rip off.
Oh,
Don't
come
do
on.
it, girl. Don't do it.
Whoa. I didn't bring you on the show to cock block me here. Cheddar Bay biscuits are a way to a woman's heart or pants, as the case may be.
I didn't say anything. Never mind.
Don't worry, that won't be there in post. I'm editing that shit right the fuck out. No, but seriously, like, there's no problem with what consensual adults do with each other. Now, I have a problem if, like, a sex worker meets a dude in a bar and, like, gets all the way back to wherever they're gonna, what he thinks is close a consensual encounter, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh, by the way. Like, that's not cool, because then you're all of a sudden, like, in a really awkward situation, because it's like, well, I thought, like, you should be managing expectations and be like, yo, people need to be forthright about that shit.
Totally. Amen.
But I also don't know how often that actually happens anywhere outside of movies. I've never had, like, some girl I picked up in the bar and took her home and her be like, yo, by the way.
I've heard some stories, especially in Vegas. I hear that a lot.
I'm sure it happens.
Hotel room.
I'm sure it fucking happens. And, like, unfortunately, that's the kind of shit that does give sex workers a bad name.
Yeah, totally.
Or,
no,
go ahead.
So interesting thing, another experience I had is, like, I lived in this house in San Francisco. And so the guy that lived upstairs, he found out that I was a sex worker somehow, which was fine. I was like, okay. But he was a little mentally ill and we tried to get him evicted. So I would come home every day. He would come out the window and he would yell, "You fucking hooker, you're picking up men and bringing them home. She's a fucking hooker," like yelling at me every day. And I was like horrified of him because he was like massive PTSD, not okay. But that experience showed me like this, I'm a high-end escort. I worked in high-end hotels. I got paid well. I was safe probably because of that. But when you have, like, a lot of sex workers are not like me, and the emotional reaction I had was like, it matters to me that things change in the stigma, because no woman deserves to deal with that. And I know a lot of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no woman deserves to be harassed coming home.
Yeah, literally. It's your home.
Right. And for fuck's sake, would he have harassed you the same way if you brought home a different dude every night and you weren't getting paid for it? Maybe.
Right, exactly. I mean, I don't know what he was doing. He was wild.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's just these fucking stigmas involved, and it's still perpetuated until, like, an event. Hopefully we get to a point where it's eventually like Amsterdam, where it's just a fucking novelty. Like, oh, hey.
Love Amsterdam. My favorite city in the world.
Really?
By the way.
Really?
Yes. The bikes. Oh, I love riding the bike around.
I almost got ran over so many fucking times.
Really?
Well, you forget about the fucking bike lane being right there.
Yeah. And it's like a car, and they're like, ding, 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 and they do not slow down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like jaywalking through traffic when you think you're safely on the curb. They're like, oh shit, there's a bike lane.
Yeah, totally.
For me, like, I thought Amsterdam was just okay. It's not my favorite place in the world.
Really?
Well, partially because, like, I judge fucking almost everywhere I go on food, and, like, the food in Amsterdam was just not amazing for the most part.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, the stroop waffles are so good. The French fries.
The stroop waffles are amazing. The fucking pancakes, the savory pancakes are fucking amazing.
Yes, they're so good, and they make them fresh. Like the stroopwafel is so fresh, right
Oh yeah,
there.
oh, yeah. The stroopwafels, the
So good.
pancakes. I found a good steakhouse, but every other meal was just kind of like meh.
Wait, did you try the apple cake there?
I don't think I did.
It's like super famous.
I don't.
Okay, forget it.
Well, now I gotta go back. But
Yeah.
and like I'm not. I live in LA. Like I don't give a fuck about being able to smoke pot.
Right. Yeah, especially now.
Right. Well, I was there in 2017, so I was there fairly recently. And on
Yeah.
top of it, it's just like, how are you going to have bars open till 5 a.m. and no place for me to get fucking food when I leave the bar?
Oh yeah. Oh. So where do you like? What is your favorite
Tokyo.
city?
Tokyo.
I have not been. I was going to go this year, but COVID.
I got to go back. It's been a couple of years since I've been. Tokyo is my fucking happy place. Like, I love Tokyo so much. Like, my audience is probably like rolling their eyes now, like, oh, god damn, Matt, you're going to get into more Tokyo talk? Great. Great.
Well, talking about Tokyo, I really want to go to Kyoto.
Oh,
I mean, I want to go up to the mountains and everything, but I love the whole Buddhist kind of temple thing. Beautiful. And hot springs.
you have any tattoos?
No.
So you're lucky. You can actually go into them. My ass can't.
No way.
Yep. Visible tattoos very much still have criminal connotation in Japan.
That is so interesting.
Like
Japan's. Sorry, go ahead.
I've been there twice, and like the first trip I didn't cover up. I was there with my tattoo artist, just face and neck tattoos. We got kicked out of a handful of places in Tokyo.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, they were super polite about it. Super polite about it. But
I heard they're really polite.
I mean, audience has definitely heard this one before, but like walked into a restaurant in the middle of the day, and like we went in there because they claimed to have English menus on the signage outside, and we walk in there like, so sorry, we're closed. So sorry, we're closed. So sorry, we're closed. We're like, oh, our bad. We'll just go somewhere else. And then we get out to the street like, there were definitely people in there eating. But they were just so polite about it, so convincing. We're like, oh, we fucked up. We'll go.
Aww. You know, the Japanese interest me. Like, they have really good taste, and I like always say like the French and the Japanese, they have good taste in like food, like art, culture, like everything in the culture.
Oh.
So I'm dying to go, and I'm interested in their sex lives because they're so like don't show affection in public.
Yeah, it's very like part of what I love about it is just how fucking different it is than American culture. Like one of the major stations, you'll see thousands of people crossing the street, and like it's all orderly. No one's loud. No one's yelling. People do not jaywalk there. Like there'll be no traffic.
No way.
Anywhere, and people will wait for the lights.
Wow.
And this is a major city. This is a city larger than New York.
Right. I've heard it's the most like people will tell me it's the most unique city they've ever been to.
It definitely
on the planet.
It definitely ranks up there for me. Like it's unlike anywhere else I've fucking been, and like violent crime is really not much of a thing. Like I blacked out. Sorry, audience. I blacked out at a major station. Like fell asleep in a planter drunk. Woke up completely fine.
What? That's an incredible story. Like you have to say more.
Oh, I'm sorry, audience, but so I'll tell you the whole story.
Oh, you talked about it before.
Yeah, this happened in 2016. The audience is definitely heard, but I'll happily tell it again. I'll tell it again. You know, we may have some new listeners. You may bring some new audience in, so bear with me if you've heard this story before. But so I was there. Me and my buddies hit the Samurai Museum in Shinjuku. Would like getting a little culture by day, get drunk at night. That's really how the trips roll. And we bounce out of the Samurai Museum, and right next door is a bar named Science. It's Rock Bar Science. Like, well, let's check out Science. We pay our cover, like, you know, cool little bar, some live music happening in the back. Like, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Bartender's wearing a Cannibal Corpse shirt. She's real cute. I'm talking to her a bit, like just talking with bullshit with everybody. There's a dude there who teaches English professionally, so he's helping us out. And I think I'm vibing with the bartender. Like, I hate to admit that because, like, it's kind of scummy to, like, hit on a bartender, but, like, I thought there was a real vibe, not, like, me being
I've been there, so you're good.
Not being a weird dude, like, just creeping. I'm also just, like, hanging out, partying with the locals and all that shit. My buddies are like, we're going to go hit another bar. I'm like, I'm having fun here. I'm going to stay. Like, we're fucking adults. We don't have to stay, like, fucking glued to each other.
Right.
They're like, dude, she's not getting off her hours. I'm like, oh, I'm going to try to stick it out and see what's happening. I drank a lot. I drank them out of whiskey. Things get a little hazy.
Really liked her.
I was having a good time. Like, because this is the second trip, so I knew to stay covered. Like, I took my fucking hoodie off at one point, and, like, the tattoos came out, and, like, it was like a fucking... Someone stopped the record in the middle of the fucking bar. And then, like, the guy who's, teaches English was like, no, it's cool. Like, and then it just, kept going. It was a giant party. Like, I watched some bands. And then I kind of don't remember what happened. I wake up in a cab and puke out a window.
Oh my god.
I can only communicate to him to get me to Shibuya Station, which is near our Airbnb. I pay the cabbie. I apologize profusely for puking out his window. I then am in and out of consciousness, like, at Shibuya Station for a couple hours.
What? Oh.
And most of this was pieced together between the fitness app on my phone and text messages. Like, we did detective work the next day to figure out where I was.
Okay. This is the hangover all over again.
Yeah, thankfully I didn't wake up with a facial tattoo or married, so... Not this time, at least. Eventually I come to, and I'm like, okay. I'm going to get another cab. I know the Airbnb is like a mile and a half this way, but I'm drunk. I don't want to walk it. I get in another cab, and then I realize, like, when we're almost to the Airbnb, that, like, I don't have any more cash on me. And, like, Japan is super cash heavy. Like, a lot of places do not take cards.
Oh.
And I'm telling my friends, I'm texting them, like, I may have to run on this cab. I don't think I got enough money to pay him. Like, I may have to run on this fucking cab. Holy fuck. Shit. I get to the Airbnb and I'm like, dude, I don't know if I have enough money to pay you. Like, let me fucking figure out. And thankfully, I had, like, exactly enough in coins to pay him, because, like, they have up to the equivalent of $5 coins in Japan.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
like, you have a pocket full of change, you're like, oh, I have a pocket full of change. You're like, oh, I have like $30 in change in my fucking pocket.
That's like Europe, kind of, too.
Yeah. But it's even worse than euros, because it's like, there's a 500 yen coin that's the size of a quarter.
Oh, yeah.
So I pay the dude. I spend literally 25 minutes trying to figure out how to get into the Airbnb, because we have a combination lock to get the key, and I know the combination. I'm just so drunk I can't get it fucking open. I eventually make it into the Airbnb, go secure the key back downstairs, like, shower up, pass out. Next morning, I'm checking my bank account, because though violent crime is not really a thing in Japan, I did get warned on the first trip that, like, if you end up in the wrong club, they'll drug you and max your credit cards.
Oh my god.
And I look at my bank account, I'm down $300. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, what the fuck? Like, trying to figure out. And then I look at my wallet, I got, 30,000 fucking yen in my fucking wallet. I think I stopped with the second cab to get cash, and that's why he was looking at me like I was a fucking idiot when I'm like, I don't have enough money to pay you. But that is, like, one of the few places in the world that where, like, I feel comfortable getting that ignorantly drunk. Especially,
that's a really good point.
I went to Colombia in 2018 and, like, woo, not getting super drunk in Colombia.
Oh my gosh, I was just in Peru for most of the year, this past year, during the virus.
Really? What were you doing in Peru?
Yeah. So I got there in March. I was like, yeah, this virus, everyone's being a little dramatic, like, whatever. Like, I was not taking it seriously. It was the beginning. And I'm like, I can't cancel my trip to Peru. I want to go. So I go. I get a message, like, once I get there. 2 days later, they shut down the whole country of Peru. And, like, you can't leave. And I'm so happy like it happened. I got stuck there. It was great. However, I was in the Sacred Valley, so I was in the mountains, and I ended up in this hostel on the mountainside with like 15 other people, mostly Europeans, and had the time of my life. It was great. But Peru was crazy. Like there was like a 6 p.m. curfew. You couldn't leave, or they would put you in jail. It was insane. You had to wear a mask, put you in jail.
Well, like the rest of the fucking world actually handling this virus fucking responsibly. Like, if we had
Yeah,
done half
totally.
that shit, we'd be back to like normal fucking life by now. But no, we gotta have our freedoms.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Hell,
gosh.
I was so irresponsible at the beginning of this shit that like I was hashtagging things no mask, no condoms 2020. Obviously, that shit went right out. Well, the mask went right out the window. Like, yeah, still no condoms. But
Yeah, I was totally thinking this. And then I was like, oh, I didn't know anyone personally who died from the virus, but I knew like a friend of a friend, and I was like, oh shit, okay, get it together, Nolina.
yeah, it sucks how I don't want to really dwell on this because it's such a fucking bummer at this point. But like, it sucks how like our government handled this shit last year. Like, oh hey, if you're young and healthy, you'll probably survive. And people were like, I'm not gonna take this seriously. If this shit had the mortality rates of fucking like Ebola, everyone would have been like, mask, staying the fuck inside.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's interesting also for me because I was not in this country during this time and when the riots happened. So like I was just in this small little mountain town in Peru, and nobody was getting sick there. So we weren't worried at all, like personally. And we were sticking to ourselves. So like the outside world was cut off to me except for the internet. And even then the internet wasn't that good there. So I don't have like the same understanding that everyone else does here, or that was here in the States. Yeah.
So how'd you spend your time in Peru? How long were you there? When were you
So
allowed back?
I had to take a repatriation flight back and at the end of June 20th. And I had to take a 17-hour bus ride from the mountains because the airports domestically were closed. So I had to take a 17-hour bus ride to Lima from the mountains. And then I had to take a repatriation flight, so out of the military base back to Miami. And, like my flight there was like $700. My flight back, I ended up paying like $3,500 just to get out of the country, which was like, no.
Hell, it might have been cheaper to just stay there for another fucking year.
It literally, because it's so cheap there. So, well, interesting thing. So I was, like I told you, I'm into plant medicine. So I was down there working with ayahuasca. So I spent the whole time just like in other universes, like just doing deep work. And I was like, oh, I understand exactly why this pandemic is going on. Like it just all made sense to me.
There's some things I got to ask you about offline because, like, I have not had a chance to experience DMT, and I really would like to, and probably not appropriate to record on the internet.
Oh, okay, cool.
Like,
I'm really open personally.
Well, no, I want to know all about the ayahuasca trips and all that shit. Like, just for helping Matt out, I probably shouldn't admit to crimes on the internet.
Fair enough.
But tell me about tell me more about
it's legal in Peru, so.
Well, for sure. Like people it's tourism down there to fucking go for ayahuasca trips at this point.
Yeah, which is in some ways disgusting, but it's better than anything. I'm glad people are doing something and having a good experience.
Well, unfortunately, like I hear stories of fucking there's scam shamans happening down there too.
Totally. There's scam shamans though around the world.
For sure.
And it's also, I think it's part of the lesson every time. It's like, no, put it back on you. It's your life. Don't give your power to another person, But of course, it's great to drink with a good shaman.
Sure. I'm sure. Well, and the thing about it is, like, people just hear, like, oh, I'm going to do ayahuasca. It's like, that's like just saying, like, I'm going to go buy a car. Like, you should do some research and, like, figure out, what brand, what model, what dealership you're going to deal with. Not just like, I'm buying a car.
Totally.
Hell, it's more important because it's something you're fucking ingesting.
Totally. This is okay, so I could talk about ayahuasca forever. I have drank over 150 times, and I've been studying it for the past 3 years, all over the Europe, Mexico, Peru, US. And like, so this is what I've devoted my my time to mostly. And I've learned a lot. And, you know, a lot of things are like not explainable because it's beyond words. But there's a lot of bullshit. But there's a lot of bullshit in everything.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's part of the human existence. Unfortunately, some people are going to take advantage of other people because they feel it's an easy way for success. It's just how it is.
Yeah, totally. And it's always part of the lesson. Like I always, especially with ayahuasca, because you're in the divinity realm, everything makes sense. Like it's fucked up, and I will never agree with like the sexual abuse that happened or all of these things. Like I stand against that completely, but there's always a lesson behind everything that happens in life, but also especially in those spaces. Yeah.
Enlighten me. What have you learned? Like, tell me more. Like, I want to know more.
Let me tell you the secrets to life.
Obviously, man, that's why I brought you on the show. Come on.
Thank you.
I just want answers. Fuck the rest of it.
So my first 3 months I was there, and I drank. You know, They're so funny. The guy that owns the hostel might see this. He didn't know we were drinking there, but we were drinking there, which is fun. And I had incredible experience with the people I was with. But then the last 6 weeks I was there, I went into my own house and I just drank alone, and I drank like every day. And I just got it out, like everything through my whole life. And it was an interesting thing about me also with ayahuasca. I don't like to go through this healing route because I know people definitely need to do their healing and like go through their trauma and everything. But like, I'm more interested in working with people who are ready to like step into what they want to create in the world, who they want to be. And ayahuasca is an infinite source of like teaching in a way, or becoming. And you know, the humanity has to get past its survival mode and its stories to get to that point. And so it's like there I was like past my daddy issues, and I was like, I have divinity, like divine purpose, and I'm not scared of anything. And it's probably why I'm doing porn right now.
Nice.
Like,
so,
I'm just not scared.
Just telling people you got past your daddy issues just probably broke a bunch of hearts, by the way. Just she's past the daddy issues. No!
Oh, I can play the daddy. Yeah.
No, sorry. Couldn't help myself there.
Call me daddy. So funny.
But
you know, they're still there, but it's not really my life anymore.
Good. No, getting past trauma, like on a real note, like getting past that shit, fucking important. I couldn't help myself to not make that joke. I just couldn't help myself.
I mean, I always say like the world has daddy issues. We live in like a very patriarchal ruled society. It is a daddy issue culture, so fuck off.
So what brought you to plant medicine? Like, what brought you to like seek this shit out? Like, because it's not like, you know, you fucking the guidance counselor at school's like, you know what? You should get into fucking psychedelics and plant medicine. It's not like many other things in your life. It's not like the normal course. How'd you end up there?
It's okay. So, I did mushrooms before, obviously, and I remember watching this documentary when I was like 7, and then I watched another when I was 12, like 7th grade, and it was about ayahuasca, right? So I knew what ayahuasca was from a very young age, which is very rare, and of course now it's well known, but like I'm from the South, like I'm from the middle of nowhere South. I don't know why I knew about it. And I was like, I will never do that. That is insane. Another interesting thing about me is I've seen like ghosts and spirits my whole life, which is a crazy thing to say online, but like I did. And like, I used to not be able to sleep at night until I was like, 15. I would like keep my parents up, I was young because I was so like, I didn't understand. That's a whole nother route. We'll talk about that later. But
oh yeah, we're definitely not like dropping that one and walking away from it. There's more to explore here.
It's so interesting. So I did mushrooms, best experience of my life. When I was with my ex-husband, I got married at 19, and
As
he
you do in
introduced
the
me to
South,
mushrooms.
as you do.
Yeah, except for I ran away to California.
You're not legally still married, are you?
No, I left. No, we're broken up. But my
Yay!
name still has to change. Anyway.
It's
So,
2021. You can legally change your name to whatever the fuck you want. Do it.
oh yes, amen. I started escorting. I went. This is a whole nother story we could talk about. Like, I had a human trafficking experience when I started. This guy went to prison, and it was really bad. My ex was super abusive,
Oof,
and
well, I'm sorry about all that.
yeah, thank you. But it was like, I'm okay now. You know, I think it makes sense to me why it happened now.
Yeah, I'm obviously not here to like bring up past traumas. If you want to tell the story, I'm more than interested to
Dr.
hear it.
Phil.
Well, then
Yeah. So
you got to be aware of that shit. Like, you can't be like, so tell me how you were sex trafficked. Like, if you're not comfortable about talking about it, like, we're not going to fucking talk about it. But if you are willing to share a story, I'm definitely interested to hear, because that's, once again, another life experience that most people don't fucking have.
right. And I think I want to talk about it. I just worry about the stories people come up with in their minds about me and why I do what I do. And I'm like, you know, I just need to be clear about sex work and that it's fucking important to me. And I'm not doing it from a sick place. Anyway.
For sure.
Back
For
to
sure.
ayahuasca.
For sure. Like, no one thinks that you are. Like, and like, it sucks that like that shit happened in the past, but obviously,
Yeah.
if it was a problem at this point, you wouldn't still be doing it. You're still
Right. Totally. Of course, though, that I meet people. That's another story. I worked at another place at the Esalen Institute in Big Sur, and they're like very therapy minded there. Anyway. So the story of ayahuasca.
yeah. Oh my god, so many tangents that we're going to have on this.
It's so fun. I was really depressed. I got out of this really bad marriage relationship that was really abusive. And I was young, and I was like this small town girl trying to figure out the world. And I spent an insane amount of money that I made as an escort. And my ex took a lot of that money. And I was just depressed. And I was at the state where I was looking to do ayahuasca within the year. Like, I was going to go down to Peru and do it the right way. It was so funny how that was slapped in my face. And I was like on Tinder because I was like, I want to date. I want to know what it's like to actually date someone. Because like growing up as a teenager, I wasn't allowed to date. Like, my parents were not into that. And so I was like, okay, I got to give myself this experience. I meet this guy online on Tinder, and he was like, hey, there's an ayahuasca ceremony next week. Do you want to go with me? And I was like, I'm so crazy. I was like, yes. And where we went, we had to fly there. And so I never met him. I just got on a plane. But I was like, I'm an escort. I do this all the time. I flew, and he's a great human being. So it was amazing. We flew up to where we did the ceremony in the US. And before I went, I was like, if this doesn't change anything, like, I'm going to kill myself. Like, I quit life. And I was back in college for the second time. The day before I first drank ayahuasca, I quit college, like, for the second time. And I was a great student. I was like the academic type. But it just wasn't working out. I was not okay. And I did ayahuasca that night. And the shaman like handed me the cup, and I like took it, and then I gave it back to him. And I was like, I'm so scared. I am so scared to see about like everything wrong I've done in my life. Oh, it makes me want to tear up because I did drink it, and it showed me like I haven't done anything wrong. And like, that was a huge breakthrough for me. I was like, you mean I'm actually a good person? And I went through like everything that was supposed to be wrong with me. Like, I'm a sex worker. Like, I got married to this older man. Like, I'm greedy. I just like want to get what I want. I'm spoiled, like all of these stories. And then I just realized like, no, like, I'm actually a good person. All of that just like took off me. It was amazing. Nice. And then after that like came off me, the shaman comes over, who is also my dear friend now and my teacher and my biggest pain in my ass. He was like, it turned into like I was the shaman, and like I was meant to do this work, and I knew it from the very first ceremony. And I was like, I was literally born to work with this medicine, which is why I knew about it when I was a kid, which is why it's like always been there. And everything from that ceremony on has confirmed that. Yeah.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Are you getting into activism to like help decriminalize it, get it fucking end the prohibition, make it full on legal?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that work for MAPS, and I think it's called like Lamps here in LA. I don't know LA that well, but I'm definitely for it. I'm definitely excited for it. But I just see how the plants themselves, and this can be very esoteric for some people, are much more intelligent than humanity, and so they're just legalizing it themselves. So I think it's naturally just happening. And thank you for the people who are fighting for it too, but
Oh, yeah. I believe we have something on the ballot to decriminalize any fungus-based hallucinogens in the near
oh,
future.
amazing. Yeah, and well, like Oakland and Santa Cruz and other places in the country, Washington, D.C., decriminalize all entheogens. So that includes ayahuasca. And that includes San Pedro, which I also take a lot, and peyote and mushrooms.
So yeah, I've never taken peyote and I've never taken ayahuasca. I'm behind the fucking curve here.
Well, this is a sign.
Oh shit. Brought into my life to just fucking show me other dimensions. All right.
I always
not how I thought this was gonna go, but I'm not here to say no.
I always I have this understanding that like maybe not everyone is supposed to take it. Like it's definitely a personal choice. And so I'm never pushy about it to people, but I'm like, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Well, at this point I do shrooms fairly regularly.
Oh, it's
like
yeah.
I have done more shrooms in like 2020, 2021 than I had in like the 10 years previous.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a good time to do them.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. And it's just one of those things where like I had done them back in the day. And like I would do them occasionally if they pop up, but I was never really like searching them out. Like you'd be at a party, you're like, hey Matt, you wanna do some shrooms? Like, yeah, I wanna do some shrooms. And then it's just like 2020 was a motherfucker for everybody. And 2020, like pre-pandemic, sucked for me a bit. And I'm just like, oh, I need to hit a reset switch here. And like more and more psilocybin research is showing that like it helps with a lot of that shit. So I'm just like, yeah, I gotta do some mushrooms. And then it's just like, oh no, I'm just doing them. Just a thing.
Good for you. Thank you for doing them.
I think everyone else around me should, is more thankful about it than I am because I'm probably a better person for it.
Same. I'm with you on that.
But it's just one of those things where, like, yeah, I understand it's not for everybody, but, like, I'm curious. Like, even in bad headspace, it's like, oh, no. I generally don't have bad trips because it's just like, if shit starts going sideways a little bit, I can just be like, I can ride this out. This is fine.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because I've never really had a bad trip. Like, I've had hard parts, but I haven't had a bad trip. But I feel like I have to be careful about saying this, but I'm going to say it. Like, sorry if this offends someone, but I have like that type of personality that could be like borderline mental illness of some sort, which kind of puts me in a place of like altered states all the time. And so ayahuasca and mushrooms are so grounding to me. Like it saved my ass because I can understand why I see dead people. I get it. But coming back to the US after being in Peru, because I actually went back in November and came back in January.
Really?
Went back down there. Yeah. And then coming back this time and like kind of being overwhelmed with humanity and like their conditioning and like kind of also being outside of it, which I've always been, but like this is bigger than ever, especially during the pandemic, because of people's fears are so high. I I'm just having a hard time with that, like associating with people. But I'm also having a great time with that. Porn has been really helpful because people are weird anyway in porn.
Oh yeah, porn is like the home of misfit toys. I like to say this to almost anybody who will listen. Is like the majority of people in porn were the fucking outcasts and weirdos in fucking high school. It's generally not the fucking popular kids who decided they wanted to get into fucking porn. Is
Right.
generally like the nerdy girl you would have never thought of discovered her sexuality and went, "Oh, I want to do this." Like I played D&D with like some fairly big performers.
D&D.
Yeah, like
Yes.
this is the land of misfit toys. There's like this is an outlaw industry. It's only I mean, it's legal, but it's only quasi legal. Like, for fuck's sake, you can
Right.
only legally make pornography in California and New Hampshire. The major productions in Nevada and Florida are operating illegally.
Wow, I didn't know that.
California is by a state Supreme Court ruling because it was previously illegal here. And New Hampshire is the only state in the country who was just like, yep, we're going to vote that on the book. No one shoots porn in New Hampshire.
Mm.
It's just no one bothers to enforce what's happening with consensual adults in Nevada or fucking Southern Florida.
Wow.
But on the books, it's definitely illegal.
Wow, so interesting. It's so weird to me that like sex on camera is like it's 2021 and I'm like everyone has sex.
Hopefully.
It's just on camera.
Hopefully.
Oh wait, not everyone has sex. Sorry, that's probably the problem.
But also, we probably don't want everyone to have sex because sales may go down.
Talk to me.
Right. Spend that hard-earned money on that OnlyFans on Nolina, not that girl you met at the bar. Well, you can't meet anyone at a bar these days anyways, but...
Or just have sex with her while you're watching Nolina. Yes.
Yeah, that's hot too. Shit. But yeah, it's still wild that in 2021, like 48 fucking states, you can't legally make pornography. Hell, you legally can't make pornography in the privacy of your own fucking home.
What? People like grow up. Government. It's sex. We all have sex. That's how we came here.
Right. Everyone came here from raw dogging. Every last one of us. Every last fucking one of us. That's right. Your parents had unprotected sex. That's how you got here.
How repulsive.
Right? Grossest thing ever.
Sinful.
Oh,
it's so funny that's what?
It's perfectly not sinful if it's for the purpose of making children. And it's one of the wildest things. Like, when people are in long-term relationships, like, that family members are like, so when are you two having kids? It's like, you're basically asking us, when are we going to have more unprotected sex?
Right.
Is this appropriate for the family party? Is this appropriate for Thanksgiving dinner? Like, you're asking me when I'm going to raw dog her? Like, is that cool? Like, ask me what you're really asking me here.
That's so funny.
But that's the truth of it. It's so fucking...
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, not to go in the whole religion thing, but, like, to sin, like, because I always heard that, like, you're a sinner. People just send me hate mail all the time. And I'm like, do you know that to sin literally means, like, missing the mark, to miss the mark?
I did not know
that. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's what it actually translates to. And, like, virgin actually translates to, like, one unto herself or one in herself. Yeah, Google it.
Well, that's amazing. They'll be like, sorry I sinned in your eye. My bad. I think I just broke Nolina. Like, her audio just cut out, like...
Did it really?
For a second there.
Oh, no.
I broke her. I absolutely broke her. My bad. I'm not what I'm trying to do here.
Keep the comedy going. I love it.
There's no comedy on this show. This is a very, very serious show. What are you talking about? This is all very, very serious business on this show.
Okay, yes, sir. My bad.
Well, that was easier than I thought to convince her. Wow.
Oh, I didn't tell you guys. I'm a submissive, but I don't like promote that. I don't put that out there.
I hate to break it to you. You just did. This is on the internet.
No, they all know shit. Kink.com, call me.
Hey, hopefully they'll knock on your door. I mean, you are signed with a very reputable agency, so.
Cool. Like speaking of that, I had no idea that like it was gonna happen so quickly. I was like, oh yeah, let me just send my pictures in. And then I was like, oh, phone call. Yeah, okay, I'm in. I'm in porn now. And then I didn't realize like actually people book you.
Yeah. It's a real production. People book you. Like, they don't just like impromptu like shoot porn. They're like, it's not just like, hey, we're all here, let's shoot some porn. They're like, they rent houses and sets and book people.
I was like, yeah, okay, so I'll start in March. Oh yeah, can you do a scene like in 2 days? What?
And you can't say no. You can't say no at this point.
I know. I love it.
So I'm curious, like, as a newbie to the industry, has your agent like coached you on like the, shouldn't do this scene yet until you build your brand and all that shit yet?
It's so funny you said that. I just want you to say, my agent, I love you. You are perfect and amazing. I had to learn a lot by myself, but she did tell me which by the way, I love that my agent is a woman. That was meant to be for me. She did tell me that like save anal, which is good because I'm like, I'm not ready to open that up yet.
Is it something you do in real life, or?
I used to do it all the time, and the best orgasms ever have come from anal, but it's been a minute. Yeah.
But yeah, that is the traditional wisdom of like, save the anal scene because you can get more money for it down the road. Thankfully, the industry is getting away from like having the same wisdom with the IR scenes.
Oh yeah, what? Like, can we talk about this?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, I want to have this conversation because I'm pretty open and I'm like not afraid of like not getting the job. But like I do worry about certain companies that maybe are high end and great, but like I don't like the fetishizing of the black cock. Like I hate that. Like it's just a man. He's a hot man. I want to fuck him.
Huh. Yeah. Unfortunately, like that has been a staple in the industry for so long, and it's only in fairly recent memory like shit is starting to change, but it's still not fully fucking changed. And like I will freely admit like that I didn't look at it from the right angle. Back in the day, I even said like my former co-hosts are performers, and they've been like, I turned down my IR rate, and at the time I'm like, if they're offering you to pay you more money, take the money. And I didn't really think about it in the grander scheme of things.
Right, of course.
I just looked at it from a purely capitalistic, like, there's nothing wrong with doing the scene, and if they want to pay you more, take more money. But it sets a fucking bad precedent to be like, oh, because that person has more melanin in their fucking skin, that you should be paid more. Like, fuck that.
I didn't understand that, like, if a black girl has sex with a white guy, she doesn't get paid more.
Correct.
I didn't realize that. And then once I realized that, I was like, oh, so it's interracial is not interracial.
Well, and the thing about it is, like, if you had sex with an Asian performer or a Hispanic performer, you're probably not getting an IR rate.
Right.
Like, it's not really interracial.
I thought interracial meant interracial, and it doesn't. It's a very specific, poignant term. That's not what it means.
Yeah.
And honestly, fuck that.
But it's a long time coming. It is. The industry is thankfully getting to a point where, like, things are becoming more open. Where, like, no, you shouldn't be paid more for doing an IRR scene. It's finally becoming more socially acceptable to perform with trans performers. Because, heaven forbid, like, back in the day when I started, I mean, this is only fucking 10 years ago. If you performed with a trans performer or did a scene on the gay side of things, A lot of performers would put you on their no list.
Wow. That's interesting.
Well, and part of that is because back in those days, the gay side of the house didn't have the same testing standards that like mainstream did. It was the justification because behind it.
Okay, that makes sense. I get that. I get
But
that
I mean, that's the
justification.
claim. I don't know if it's truly more rooted in homophobia than it was safety measures, but that was the claim.
Definitely I mean, I think it's so hard because I'm not like I wasn't here during that time, and I definitely wasn't in porn. Like, and I mean by like when like the AIDS crisis was like really big. So I don't really understand it, but I do see how like that is carried into a lot of the homophobia, and it's just like the veil. Yeah.
Unfortunately, and like it's been a long time since there's been an onset transmission, but there were onset transmissions back in the day.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting because I'm planning to make bi content in the next few weeks.
Nice.
And they're like, don't do that. Like, that's something they will say to save. But I'm like, no, like this is actually naturally who I am. Like I would love to be with two bi guys, and I'm going to. And I'm like, fantasy came true. Thank you, porn. And yeah.
Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, we are on the precipice of like the industry wildly changing, where more and more performers are going to take control of their careers as they produce stuff for their own content for OnlyFans and push stuff out themselves. 2020 is kind of like fuck the porn studio system.
Yeah, I'm getting that. And they're like freaking out.
And rightfully so. And rightfully fucking so. Because when you have performers who are making deep 5 figures a month from their OnlyFans, why the fuck would they ever show up on a set again?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. This is where the integrity that I was talking about earlier, I have caught the most. It's come from the production companies. Yeah.
Production companies are fucking scared. They're fucking scared because, within the last 10 years, you've watched the model being like, oh, you got to show up on set and we're selling DVDs. Like, having a box cover was a big, like, point of pride for people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now there's no box covers. When was the last time you saw physical media?
Right.
People buy physical media at conventions so they women have something to sign, like performers have something to fucking sign. That is about fucking it. People aren't going to truck stops and spending $60 on a DVD anymore.
Yeah. I fucking love it for the main point of like, it's my body, I'm my own boss, and I don't have to like please you to make my money. I love that.
Right, but that's unfortunately not everybody. But I mean, that's on them when it's not everybody, because not everyone has the skill set or the desire to actually run their own production house, and that's what you've got to do if you're being successful at OnlyFans, is essentially run your own production.
Totally. And I because I'm just loving the experience, truly. Like I definitely would like to make money, but I'm like learning so much, and it's so different than a lot of what people would ever experience. And so like going to these shoots, it's like the most fun in the world. And I feel like a supermodel when they like do my hair and makeup and then I get fucked on camera. It's so fun. I will do all of them forever.
Hell yeah. And that's the right mentality. Like, I hope that stays with you. Like, I hope that fucking 5 years from now, your career is still flourishing and you're not fucking sick of this bullshit.
Yeah. It's good because I've been an escort for so long. I think I have like a decent taste of it, just now a different spin.
Unfortunately, like, hell, you've already experienced it. Like, you don't have quite the anonymity that you had as an escort.
Right, true. The another thing about like me as an escort, I started coming out about being a sex worker publicly and like to my family and to like my online platforms, personal platforms, years ago. So like because I just needed to speak about it, and it turns out people have given me a lot of like great feedback. They're like, "Wow, you're so inspirational. Thank you so much." Definitely, there's been hate, but much more love than hate.
Well, yeah, it's for the most part, it's hard for people to hate on someone that like that isn't just an abstract concept. You're a fucking person to them.
Right. True.
Like,
True.
you know, it's like fucking racist that, you know, oh, you're one of the good ones. Like, oh no, because that's actually a person. It's when you dehumanize people that your fucking hate flourishes.
Yeah. Well said. I totally agree. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Look at me getting philosophical. Only 3 whiskeys deep.
I love it.
Come for the dick jokes. Save for Matt actually saying something poignant every once in a while.
Someone write that down.
Thankfully, we recorded it.
Oh, yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see where the industry continues to go in 2021, 2022, because in previous years, camming has started to take much more of a hold in the industry as mainstream members of the industry. Like, when I started, MFC, Chatterbait, all the cam sites didn't have quite the presence that they do now. The fact that, like, the hub, you can filter by fucking cam models, or the fact that there are awards for camming now, already showed a change in the industry.
Right. Okay. I did see that. I'm learning this.
And then, OnlyFans and whatever eventually replaces it. Because I don't know if OnlyFans is going to stay forever. Yeah. I have my own thoughts on the platforms and stuff like that. The fact that, like, performers are essentially putting their careers in the hands. They're putting all their eggs in one basket. Yes, it's great that everyone can make fucking a ton of money from OnlyFans. But if, like, that's your only revenue source, it's a risky proposition. Because you never know.
Totally.
Legislatively, like, if something's going to fucking change, or the platform's going to change, the fact that you're signing a contract that you could not negotiate, that they could just change their TOS. Like, hey, everybody, we're now taking a 75% cut.
Right.
Enjoy it or starve.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen, of course. I mean, in general in life, it's good to have several revenue outlets.
100%. And the thing about it is, like, that is one of the biggest drawbacks of the adult entertainment industry is a lot of performers aren't given any real guidance when they get in. You're lucky that you're signed with a reputable agency who is giving you guidance, but there are many new performers that just get in, or the waitress at your local Hooters is like, I'm going to start an OnlyFans because I can't fucking work right now. Is given no...
Okay, this is a really good point. My agency has helped me a lot. I can't believe how much they work. Talk about agencies. You guys are on the phone around the clock.
Yeah. The agencies aren't created equal. Like, your agent is a good fucking agency, but not all agencies are created equal.
Yeah. And I'm learning this. I didn't know this when I applied. I just Googled. I applied to a few agencies, though.
Who else did you... Well, let's not call them out. Never mind. We'll just walk away from that.
Not a good idea. A whole different story.
But not all agencies are fucking created equal. And it's amazing, like, though a lot of agencies do give a lot of guidance, there's a lot of things that, like, even veteran performers don't understand about California agency law, which is fucking wild. Things like, if you end up on a set that is underinsured, your agent has to provide you with workers' comp insurance if you're injured on set.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You'd be amazed how many fucking veterans of this industry don't fucking know that, and how many agents don't want to actually fucking admit that, and why it's super important to make sure that your licensed agent the license is current, because they have to maintain workers' comp insurance to maintain an active license.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Thank you for telling me that.
You're welcome. But this is one of those things where, like, there is no porn 101. People fucking learn on the job here.
Mm-hmm. This is what I'm learning, like, and I got this from my agent. Like, they are working so hard, that agency, and I get it. And so like, but they couldn't tell me the things that I needed to learn. It's like it had to come from experience. And it had to come from me to talk to other talent and not them, because it's a different thing.
Well, and you also have the advantage of like that you're for porn age a little older.
Totally.
Like she is not old by any stretch of the imagination, folks, but for porn age, she's a little older.
Yeah.
So like you've had some life experience. Unfortunately, like some performers get in at fucking 18 and don't know shit about the real world.
No idea. I couldn't imagine. I totally like, yes, but I would not be able to do it at 18. Oh, I had no idea about the world.
Well, and most 18-year-olds don't, and most 18-year-olds think they do. Like, I thought I had the world by the balls at 18. I was fucking wrong.
Yeah. I know, it's so funny. I'm so glad I'm starting at 25. It feels really good. And I feel like it's a relief to people I work with in some ways.
Well, and it's a good place to start. Like, you have some life experience. You know, like, what you're willing to put up with, what you're not going to fucking put up with.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, and you know that, like, there are other opportunities out there of, like, this shit is bullshit. I don't have to be bullied into fucking doing it.
Yeah, totally. And I would not have known that at 18. And I also, like a big thing for me is like, this is going to give me a platform to kind of go off and do basically whatever I want. And that is really important to me. But I understand that at 25, I would not have understood it at 18. I would have just been like, money.
Yeah.
Which I kind of did do.
Well, yeah. And to pull back the curtain a little bit, like, Nolina and I were first introduced to each other because, like, she's starting a podcast.
Yes.
And I was super impressed, like, from the jump when you're like, oh, I'm doing this to, you know, build my brand and help expand who I am as a performer, not like I'm going to be fucking rich from doing this overnight.
Yeah. You don't do that podcast.
I can tell you that. I tell a lot of people that. A lot of people think, like, are like, oh, I'm going to be Joe fucking Rogan. I'm going to be... Like, no, you're not going to be fucking Joe Rogan. For fuck's sake, Joe Rogan was on news radio, the voice of the UFC, the host of Fear Factor, and a touring comedian, and Joe Rogan wasn't Joe Rogan for 8 years of him doing his podcast.
Right, and podcasts were like building when he started podcasting.
Right.
Like
the Joe Rogan experience is like 11 years deep at this point. And the Joe Rogan experience was not the Joe Rogan experience for like 8 years of him doing it with all his other fucking fame. Do you think, anonymous motherfucker, you think you're going to be fucking Joe Rogan? Like, even if you had the exact same skill sets as Joe, do you think you're going to be Joe Rogan in 90 days? No.
Right. Yeah, so I'm doing this podcast. And I'm going to be the next Joe Rogan. I'm kidding.
Well, you better learn some jiu-jitsu. At least you're on the same page on DMT.
Oh, yeah, totally. He should put me on a show.
I'll talk to you offline about that.
Yeah, so, podcast.
But, no, I mean, I was just back to the initial point of the fact that, like, at 25, you have the right mindset on, like, the business end of this shit. Where you're like, right. I want to start a podcast as a marketing tool, not as I'm going to get rich and be bigger than porn because of podcasting.
Yeah, and, you know, I also have thought about this. It's like, you know, I'm not just this girl that's just into sex and, like, likes to fuck and just slut around. Like, this is a part of me. I love it. But, like, I find the most interesting part of me is, like, my personality and the fact that I like that. And so, like, I want to promote that to, like, my audience. And,
well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason I do this show. Well, I do this show for my own fucking ego. I'm not going to lie to people. But
own it.
The reason I don't ask the stereotypical bullshit is, like, I want my audience to identify with, you know, the performers and sex workers I have on as real people, not just like, oh, that's who I masturbate to, and all they're interested in is, you know, taking my load.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's important. It's really cool that you do that. Like in general for many reasons, but it fucking matters.
Well, yeah, like
Yeah.
you're all real people who have real fucking interests besides like showing up to work. It's like hosting a podcast about dentists and be like, so what do you think about that molar?
Yeah.
It's gonna get real old real quick. Like,
Yeah, and like I think so much of the world, like there's people in the world not I think they innately know, but like sex is fucking awesome and great and it's fun. But like you have so much of your life that you're not having sex. I have so much of my life that I'm not having sex. Life is more than just sex, even though sex is the fucking best part.
well, there is so much life that is not actually having sex, but there's so much of fucking life that is about pursuing sex in some way, shape, or form.
True, true.
Yeah.
Well, we could go deeper into that. Like
100%. I'm happy to do so.
Oh, cool. Let's go. Sex is like sexual energy is like creation. So it's like, yeah, fucking, but also like, your music or your art or whatever sort it shows. And it's like, that is the motivation for life, for more life.
Yeah. We
it's
have
natural.
a biological need to fuck.
Yeah.
And so much, so much about life is about it. Like, what I think it's a Dave Chappelle bit about like, like everything a man does is to like impress women in some way, shape, or form. Like, we only have nice cars because y'all like nice cars.
I love Dave Chappelle.
You ever seen him live?
I've never seen him live. There was like one. Okay, you can tell me, but like there was a show I was trying to get into with John Mayer and Dave Chappelle, and like it was like
was it at the
in
store?
San Francisco.
Oh, it was when they were up in SF. Nice.
Yeah,
because they did a couple sets at the Comedy Store here, and then
did you go?
I sadly didn't. I sadly fucking didn't. That was sold the fuck out so fast. It was a secret show. It was sold.
San Francisco.
And then they did 5 nights at the Hollywood Palladium also. Like his Netflix special, the part 2 of like one of his Netflix specials was done at the Hollywood Palladium.
Oh, I fucking love. He's my favorite comedian. I think.
I thankfully have seen Chappelle a couple times. I'm fucking thankful for it. I got to see him. It's got to be 2005, like shortly after he left Chappelle's show.
Oh wow!
Like, I did not know what to fucking expect. This is when I still lived in Chicago. He played the Rosemont Theater. And this is right after Chappelle's show. Like, he left the 3rd season. And there's signs all over the theater like, if you heckle Dave, you will be ejected. And I'm like, oh man, he's taking himself too seriously. No, Dave is a professional fucking comic. And when people fucking heckled him, he shut them the fuck down, even in a theater setting.
He is a fucking genius.
Oh, he is an absolute fucking genius. And it was amazing. Because, like, people were just screaming shit at him from like rows in the theater. Like, I had pretty good seats, but I wasn't fucking front row center. And like maybe a couple rows in front of me, someone's like, "I'm rich, bitch." He's like, "I don't believe you." And then someone like dead center at the stage like, "I'm rich, bitch." He's like, "I know how much those tickets cost. I believe you." It was such an amazing show. He's like, "That motherfucker's wearing a fuck yo couch t-shirt. I don't even get a piece of that." Like, it was a real fucking comedy show. Like, Dave was not stuck up at all. That night was so fucking magical. Like, and being part of LA, like, once shit reopens, the comedy scene here is honestly one of the things that keeps me here.
Oh, really? I can see that. Like, I love comedy.
Well, when the world reopens, we can hang out and go to the Comedy Store or some shit at some point.
Yeah, we should. We should. I'm down.
Even though
Dave Chappelle especially. Front row. Let's go.
There's been a mass exodus to Austin, Texas for a lot of the comedy scene.
Oh, really?
It's been fucking wild. Rogan moved down there. The guys from Kill Tony Hinchcliffe, and Brian Redband moved down there. A bunch of like the bigger names at the Comedy Store moved down to fucking Austin.
I couldn't leave the ocean. Why Austin?
I hate to admit this on the internet, but like, I've lived in LA for, it'll be 7 years in November. I have never been in the Pacific Ocean. Not once.
Oh, interesting. I'm not really into it because it's cold.
Oh, I've definitely been down to the beach to drink, but it's like, I got to make a day of it. Like, I'm going to go to the west side and I'm going to get drunk on a rooftop. but I have still never actually stuck my foot in the Pacific Ocean. Like, for me, for my LA, my LA is about like Hollywood. It's about the comedy scene. It's about art house movie theaters. It's about like that shit. But
I can't wait.
That's one of the things where like anyone who's thinking about coming here from the rest of the country, that's why I sell people on LA. It's like, this place is worth the price of admission. If you come to LA and you don't like it, you haven't found your neighborhood, because this is a city of fucking neighborhoods and it's all fucking different. Like, you're on the west side, you're like, I'm soaking up the sun, I'm on the fucking beach. Where I'm like, I am in grimy ass Hollywood. Like, there are homeless encampments around me that have no trespassing signs around them. But I love it. I fucking love it. Like, this town is this town is worth the price of admission to me. Like, the fact that like any artist that you want to play here, and I'm drinking. Any musical artist you want to see is going to play here. Mm-hmm. And they're often going to play like a small fucking venue. Any comedian you want to see is going to play a small club here. We get movie theaters that are playing revival and art house shit all the time. Like, weird fucking foreign films. Shit like that. Like, all that shit matters to me.
Oh, I fucking love that about LA. You know what? And I said I would never live in LA. I come back from Peru and I'm like, you know, LA has so much opportunity. There's so many people doing artistic things and they're actually doing it. And I was kind of tired of San Francisco because it was very techy and it was kind of getting boring. But LA is like popping. Well, I love it.
That is the other fucking thing that I fucking love about this town. Like, if you are here for any length of time, you will meet people that come here from all parts of the world to try to accomplish something. And some of them are fucking delusional. Don't get me wrong. Some of them are fucking delusional. And sometimes, you know, if you have any self-awareness, you might think, I might be one of the delusional ones. But everyone fucking came here to do something. And they're trying to fucking do it. And when you're here for any length of time, you start to surround your people that are actually succeeding at doing shit. Like,
exactly.
I have friends that like are bartender friends of mine, but they're fucking booking like shows on fucking Netflix.
Yeah, it's so fun to see this happen. Like, they're like, to like actually have your friends become like waitresses to like big movie stars. And I've had this experience. It's like, what? Yeah. I love LA.
It's one of the things, you just got to come here and realize that you're not going to get discovered in a fucking Uber.
You could, though.
You could. The likelihood's pretty fucking slim. You could also win the fucking lottery. It's probably not going to fucking happen for you.
Yeah, totally.
Like, my experience is putting in the work and being consistent in this town, because there are a lot of flaky motherfuckers in this town.
Yeah.
Will see you through much more than fucking anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And much like porn, fucking, there's people that make it here under a year and then fucking go back to where the fuck they came from because they just thought they were going to instantly get fucking famous.
Yeah.
Drive will see you through further than talent any day of the week.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, fucking being real. I love how in 2021 there's people like making it and becoming famous, and they're just real people, like more than ever. And in LA, thank you.
Well, and I've talked about this on there before too. Like, fame is such a double-edged sword. Like, and hell, you've been in the industry such a small time, and you're already experiencing it. Like, fucking people coming out of the woodwork, people being fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even imagine, like, you know, not to say that you're not on the up, but like real fucking fame, like how fucking weird that shit must be.
Yeah. I mean, I know famous people, but like, I can't even imagine what it's like to be them. Like, you go everywhere and people know you. No, thank you.
Or people want to bother you. You just want to have a fucking meal with your actual fucking friends, and people won't leave you fucking alone. Like, it's flattering that you love my whatever I fucking created, but like, I'm trying to have some fucking sushi with my friend here. Like,
yeah, totally. Like, oh, that's the thing about LA. Gosh, you see celebrities, and like, I know, like, don't say anything to them. You know, like.
Yeah, time and a
Let
place.
them
Like
live their life.
100%. I've definitely run into Bill Burr at like the grocery store and just like, oh hey, there was Bill Burr, and like go about my shopping.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But like I run into Leonardo DiCaprio and I'm like he's like the one. I just love him.
You know, Leo. I mean, this is a couple of years ago. Would owns I fucking forgot the name of the sports bar, but owns like part of a sports bar that did trivia night, and he would often pop in for the trivia night.
Of course he won. You know what I really like about him? I think this is what I like so much about him. It's like, okay, he is famous. He's obviously been famous for a long ass time.
Yeah, he's on fucking
But
growing pains. He's on fucking growing pains.
But I like if you're gonna be famous, then fucking do something with it. Like, come on, like let's do. I love his environment. Like he's really into the environment, and like he's making a statement for that. And I think like if I ever reach fame like that, like that's what's gonna make it worth it. Not just being like Kim Kardashian. Look at me. Like, no, I fucking care. Like, let me do something with this.
I mean, to be fair, as weird as it is, Kim Kardashian got some prison reform done.
Oh, fair enough. Sorry, bad word. I shouldn't have said her.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm just like, I would have never, like, beyond like a couple of years ago, I would have never thought of it. I would just been like vapid fucking Kardashians.
Yeah.
But Kim got some prison reform done somehow. Like,
that's really good. Okay, thank you, Kim.
The rest of them, they ain't doing shit.
Yeah, like do like, and then they come. I don't know them, but like I would say some of them complain, like leave me alone, leave me alone. But it's like if you change the mindset a little bit about being famous, you would find a lot more peace when you find purpose.
Well, and unfortunately, this is also what you signed up for.
Yeah, and you're probably yearning for it.
Well, I feel like fame is a double-edged sword, where it's like, oh, you're yearning for it until you actually like reach the pinnacle, and you're like, oh fuck, I didn't realize what I was signing up for. I didn't realize like, oh, I'm not gonna have a private moment. If I want to go to the grocery store and no fucking makeup, there's gonna be some motherfucker with a telephoto lens taking pictures of this shit.
Yeah, and you can't just like go to your favorite restaurant like you did before.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
It's not the same. Like,
yeah.
Oh, anyone you want to be romantically involved with, they're going to be under a microscope too.
Yeah, and they might be out to get something.
Right, and yeah, you have zero idea who to fucking trust.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey.
Maybe other famous people, but even then.
Maybe. And that's the thing, like, do you want to limit who you're romantically involved with just other fucking famous people?
Yeah, that's... You have no privacy then.
Well, you have no privacy then, and then if you do break up, which statistically that does happen, like, it's going to be in the public fucking eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, fame is a fucking monster. And it's the thing about, like, I grew up in the Midwest. Like, it's not anything like anyone in my social circle could actually ever fathom. It's just like, oh my God, that should be so glamorous. I don't understand why, like, these famous people are so miserable. Like, oh no, it's wildly fucking isolating. You don't know who to trust. You have very few actual peers. You surround yourself with people that are your employees, so they can't tell you the fucking truth. So you don't know what the fuck's really going on.
You know what? Just something like small scale that I'm having the experience with, like as in the porn industry, and I just got started. So like I'm trying to build myself. And like I just like, even though it's a small industry and everyone's kind of cool, it's not like, oh my God, he's so famous. He's like this famous porn star. I mean, maybe there's a few of those I like. But I don't want people to think I'm using them. Like if I want to make content, I don't know how to like, I would rather just not make content with them and then like feel safe with me than like go out of my way and ask them, because I don't want to use them. You know?
Well, it's one of those things where like,
in a way that you do want to use them.
You do want to use them. You do want to have the leg up. You do want to have like the fucking like the exposure of like, oh, hey, someone who's a fan of theirs. I don't know. It's what's the worst they're gonna say is no. Like,
I'm just like, yeah. Yeah. Right. Like you should just ask, which I have done, and luckily a lot of them have reached out to me. But
Well,
I just want them to know, like I don't want to be like manipulative.
you're not being manipulative. You're, as far as I know, I am not in the
Yeah.
conversations. As far as I know, you're not being manipulative. You're just like, hey, um, I would like to have sex with you on camera. I think this would help both our careers. Probably mine
No,
more than yours,
you're
but
right.
I'm hot, so let's bang.
And usually they say yes, I would probably say.
Right. Like, I don't know, but I would assume you weren't starving as a sex worker, so you have to have some awareness that, like, oh yeah, people want to have sex with you. So, like, offering, like, oh hey, sex will benefit both our careers.
It's also interesting to me because I'm like, I also think in my mind, like, oh yeah, they're having sex with like a new girl every day. So like, I'm just which I am, but like, it's just like they're, I'm just another girl. They probably don't have time to like pencil me in, which is probably true sometimes.
It probably is true sometimes, but you never know. Like, the worst they can say is no.
Right. I needed this conversation. This is good.
Happy to help. Happy to fucking help.
Thank you.
I don't know why you're letting me life coach you, but okay.
Keep drinking. Let's go.
Actually, we're gonna pause for a second because I need a piss. Normally I can
Okay,
make
cool.
it the whole show, but I need a piss. So we're gonna pause for half a second while I urinate because I'm not gonna piss in a cup on my own show. And we are back from peeing. My bladder is empty. Nolina's bladder is hopefully empty. I'm not a doctor. I don't know.
I am good.
And fucking, I totally forgot what we were on. I totally forgot what we were talking about before we left. Like, I need to pee so fucking bad. I was just like, oh, gotta go.
It went down a few spirals. I don't. Oh, you were giving me advice on that it's okay to like just reach out and talk to these famous porn stars.
Go get that dick.
Get that dick.
Moral of the story: get that dick. Like, at the end of the day, most male talent got into this job to, like, have sex with some more people. So yeah, reach out. Like, what's the worst thing they can fucking say? Is no.
Right. Well, they don't answer, and then I like meet them on set one day, and I'm like, you didn't answer me.
Don't take that shit personally. Don't take that shit. Like, if they're not already following you, the amount of DMs those dudes are getting is fucking insane. You probably
True.
Just got lost in the fucking swarm of fucking thirst traps that are sent their way.
Yeah, and scams.
Oh yeah, the scams are wild. Speaking of the fucking scams, like, you'll know when you've made it as a porn star when people start impersonating you.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I'm gonna get my friends to do it.
No, don't do that. Like, you'll get enough on, like, it'll happen on your own. I had one like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where they slid into my DMs with a performer who's been on the show. Like, of course I liked some of her fucking posts. We know each other. Like, of course I'm gonna like posts of people I know. And they're like, oh, thank you for supporting me. Like, the scam account's like, thank you for supporting me. Like, I just want to reach out to my fans. And I want to play along because I'm bored. I'm like, oh, and they're like, I noticed you've been reaching out. I'm like, oh my God, you really noticed me? You noticed me? Oh my God, you noticed me. And then I'm like, blah, 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 blah. How do you know? How do I know that you're the real so-and-so? And they're like, they had a photoshopped visa, like a U.S. visa. I'm like, all right, I'm bored with this. You do realize U.S. citizens don't get U.S. visas, right?
Yeah, and you literally know them.
Well, I didn't get to that point yet. I'm like, no, it's so I can travel and visit my friends. I'm like, yeah, you would have a passport, and also, that is not that person's legal name. No one's stage name is going to be on their fucking visa. Like, I don't know what you mean. And I literally just sent them a clip from my phone of, like, me and that performer talking on air. I'm like, you see the person you say you are? They have my number. They wouldn't be asking where I live.
Oh gosh.
I tried to, like, because I really want to, like, ask these scammers why they're doing it. I'm like, yo, I'm not going to report you, but tell me, why are you doing this? And then they got reported by someone else and their account got deleted.
Oh,
But I was trying to get to
yeah.
the bottom of it, like, so why do you do this? What do you hope to gain? Like,
It would be so good to have on your podcast. A scammer.
I mean, possibly giving scammers, like, a fucking platform also isn't necessarily a great thing because I found out from a couple performers, it's really big business. Like, it is really big
Mm.
business impersonating performers. Like, some of the bigger performers, like, there are people making fucking 6 figures a year at least impersonating other performers. Playing on the white knight Captain Save a hose out there, being like, oh my god, I want to get out of porn, but like I can't afford to do it. Can you send me money?
Wow.
Like, so I don't really want to platform those people, but like I'm also really kind of curious. I'm like, why are you doing this? And why are you so grossly incompetent that you're gonna try to hit me up when there are a bunch of photos of us together on that Instagram profile? Like, you dumb motherfucker. They hit up the podcast account, not even my personal. So there are videos of me and that performer together from being on air together. Like,
They're so dumb.
what are you?
They're so dumb.
That's so fucking stupid. Like, do a little fucking research. Little.
I just feel like there's some really dumb people in this world.
There are. Well, what's worse is there are dudes that fucking fall for that shit. They think like, oh,
That's worse.
oh my god, Nolina Nyx is sliding into my DMs and she needs me to save her from pornography. Okay, I'm gonna spend 2 weeks' pay to try to save her.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're just so excited by the idea of like you
Right, the
or
fantasy just takes them over.
right.
Wow, that's
The
wild.
fantasy of
That's
like
so sad.
your favorite performer fucking noticed you. Like all the blood rushes lower and you stop thinking with this head.
I'm already getting that a little.
It's so fucking wild. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a fucking skeptical person in the first place. Like, because even if I wasn't like in this position, if I meet girls on fucking like Tinder and shit like that, like, oh, you're way hot, so what's the scam? Like, you're a scammer first, and then like you gotta prove that you're not.
Yes. Yes. Oh. I also when escorting, I got a lot of scam calls. I was like, "Oh, really? You want me to come? You're booking the whole like pro basketball team for me to fuck? I should come." Like crazy shit like that all the time.
Like, well, especially on that end, like I don't understand what their goal is there. Like, you're obviously gonna take a fucking deposit before you fucking
Right.
take that
Some
meetup.
girls though. Some girls. Yeah.
Well, as we were saying earlier, like, no matter what industry you're in, not everyone's a fucking rocket surgeon.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, in escorting, there would be like, okay, so $8,000 a night. Like, okay, this happened one time. Like, yeah, I'm not giving you a story, but like, I actually,
Oh no,
I
I want a
made
story. I want a story. You can't like, no, $8,000. No, I'm not giving you a story. No, I want a fucking story. If you're gonna lead in with that.
Okay, so like $8,000 a night. I've done that, like overnight, $8,000 a night. So I can see how a girl gets a call because she's already had an experience where it did happen, and she made $8,000 a night or more or whatever. And she got a car, and so they're like, "Oh yeah, of course it'll happen again." So they fall for it again, and then that's when they get fucked.
Yeah, but I don't know. Me personally, like, even if I was getting $8,000 a night calls every fucking week, I'd be like, we have ways we fucking do business. On top of like, my audience is probably aware, you're definitely aware, like, I do audio and video production for other people on top of doing the show. Like, I edit a show for someone I've known for over 20 years. Until they pay me, they get a watermarked fucking video.
Smart.
Like, it's just like, this is how we handle business.
Totally. Good for you for being smart because it sucks to say, but like friends, when it comes to money and shit like this, they'll fuck you over.
Well, and they will, and then they'll be like, "Oh, it's cool. You know, we've known each other so long. It's cool." Like, unless you're paying for my fucking food and my rent, it's not fucking cool. So anyone who's like, "I'm gonna blindly take an $8,000 booking," that's on them. That is fucking on them.
Definitely. But like the thing is, what happens. I hope somebody watches this and gets this, but the fantasy.
I hope someone watches this too. But,
but they find use for this. Just get real about your fantasies. Like, come to ground. Think about it for a minute.
Yeah, to a degree. Like, have realistic expectations. Be skeptical until you're like, oh shit, this is actually happening. Be skeptical up until the moment that it's actually fucking happening.
Yeah.
Because don't be closed off to it completely, because, you know, heaven forbid, like, Cindy fucking Crawford, in the height of her fucking hot, was like, man, I want to fuck. I'd be skeptical until I was penetrating.
Well said.
But I'm not going to be like, no, that can't fucking happen.
Okay, so this is another thing about, like, you know, being a sex worker or like a hot girl. If you compliment someone, sometimes they overtake it for so much more. And then I have issues often with that.
Oh, they're like, oh my God, she laughed at one of my jokes. She obviously wants my penis inside her.
Or she obviously wants me to message her 5 times a day because she answered me 1 time.
Oh yeah, you definitely gotta be careful about that shit. Like, you paid them a grain of fucking attention, and all of a sudden they're like gonna blow you up forever.
Thank you for my fans, because they're gonna watch this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for your fans too. Don't worry, I won't ignore your DMs. I won't. You can slide right in.
I'm turning off my DMs unless I'm following you.
Wise move on that shit. But
yeah, I did that.
No, but I mean, like, even in normal and fucking environments, like, even without being a level of celebrity, like, yeah, dudes generally like, oh, she likes all my bullshit, so I gotta fucking keep trying.
Oh yeah. But I think that's, we can go into the whole conversation about boundaries and like women and no and yes, but like women got to get clear. Like, you got to make it really clear because they don't know sometimes.
Well, it's true. Like, I would much prefer like someone clearly said some shit. But I also understand, like, from many female friends of mine, like, sometimes they're fucking nervous about setting clear boundaries because they're afraid, like, a dude's gonna violently react.
Totally. Oh, yeah, I've been there.
Dudes gotta get their fucking egos in check. Like, oh, hey, think about it from the other side. You don't want to fuck every fucking woman you've met. There are some women that you'd be like, you want to fuck me? No. Like, I'm insulted that you even asked that you wanted to fuck me.
Yeah.
So that is definitely happening on the other side.
They don't think that, do they?
No,
Really
like, it's definitely not, like, in the dude's brain. I'm like, it's just not in human nature to think like, oh, no, they wouldn't want to fuck me. I mean, hell, I've seen women who've been like really confused by being like, what? That dude didn't want to fuck me. Huh?
Oh yeah, I've been there.
That happens too. But, women aren't going to get violent over it. Generally. I'm sure there are some that, like, I'm not trying to make a blanket fucking statement. I'm sure it's fucking happened. But, dudes, you gotta get your fucking ego in check and be like, oh, she didn't want to fuck me? Someone else probably will.
Yeah, there's definitely.
Not definitely. I'm not guaranteeing sex for anybody.
I don't know what the answer is for that, so let's not go there.
Well, the answer is, like, just fucking accept your fucking lumps and go about your fucking day. Like, someone didn't want to fuck you. It fucking happens. Like,
we've all been there.
We've all fucking been there. Hell, Valentine's Day 2020, pre-pandemic, I spent the night at the fucking bar talking up this girl all fucking night. And when it came to the last call, we were having a great time. I'm like, yo, let me get your number. She's like, nah. I'm like, all right, cool. Do you want to do another shot?
Oh, you're so cool about it, because so many guys would have been dicks.
What? I was just enjoying the fucking moment. I would have loved to like hung out with her again, but whatevs. Like she wasn't feeling it. Let's just do another shot. And we'll, good game.
It's really crazy though, like because most guys would take that so personal, and how you're just able to just like not take it personal and be like, no, she just doesn't want to, right?
Yeah.
Or did you take it personal?
No, I didn't take it personal. Like I don't care. Like I shot my shot. Like, oh, you don't want to give me your number? Cool. Let's do another round of shots then. Like,
oh, good for you. That's good.
Like,
I would say 8 out of 10 guys wouldn't be like that though.
But I also can't guarantee that I would have been like that fucking 15 years ago, like in my 20s or some shit like that. Like that's age and experience speaking. Like just being like, ain't that fucking serious?
Yeah. You know, speaking of age and experience, it's interesting also for me because I haven't had much experience with guys in their 20s, like as an adult woman. It's always like mostly 35 and up, 35, 40s. And
60s.
So I maybe one or two up there. No, I'm just kidding. So like I have this like warped view of also society as being a sex worker, you know, because I'm with more mature, like older men, not mature necessarily always.
Oh, I'm not mature. Don't put that out there. I'm not mature. Like I just understand. Like it ain't nothing. None of that shit is serious enough to get fucking upset about. Like I met that woman that night at the bar. We struck up a conversation, having a good time. I thought she was cute. Whatevs. Like
that sounds like a very mature thing.
Might have to edit this out. Can't fucking hurt my reputation like this.
Oh.
But more dudes just have to realize, like, it ain't a big fucking deal. Like, so what?
Yeah.
So what? Like,
you don't know what's going on either. She could have like an infection. She could be tired. She could have her period.
Well, I wasn't trying to take her home that night. I was just trying to get her number. Like,
I'm just always thinking about sex.
Well, yeah, like, and like, hell, she may have had a boyfriend and was just enjoying the attention that night. Like, whatevs.
That too.
Like, she may have gotten just out of a fucking messy relationship. Like, that's why she was at fucking a bar on fucking Valentine's Day and was not looking for new dick. She may have looked at my Instagram and been like, oh, no. This is not who I need to fucking...
I can't take this on.
Yeah. Like, this dude's going to talk about me on the internet. Like, and I will.
Wait, how is that, though?
What?
For you? For your dating life? For what you do.
Oh, it is fucking rough at times. It is fucking rough.
Yeah.
Like, for being a dude who has never actually, like, exposed his penis on a film or had sex on film, I have been discriminated against by multiple women.
I could understand that.
Like, and the thing about it is, the way I look at it is, like, the trash is seeing itself out.
Yeah,
like,
amen.
I'm not going to change my fucking lifestyle over a woman I don't know. So, if you're going to be bothered from this from the jump, cool. See yourself out.
It's a really good filter because you want to be with a cool woman anyway.
Well,
and a
obviously.
cool woman would get it. Yeah.
Well, and like, I understand, like, maybe having some jealousy issues or not being super cool with, like, in the normal world, I have a porn star a week essentially in my apartment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I understand that, but, like, you gotta have trust. Like, don't be with me if you don't trust me. There are definitely problems. And, like, that's why, like, I understand how fucking worse it is for actual fucking performers.
For dating, yeah. I mean, for me, like, also, if I was interested in dating, like, I couldn't imagine going to have sex with my partner and, like, having, like, that would just be too much sex for me.
Oh, we gotta edit that out. You can't have that. You can't have that on the internet. Ooh, too much sex.
I mean, like,
no. I mean,
I love sex. I'm a slut.
That's real. Well, and like I wanted to ask that earlier. It was like, so why don't you have the interest in dating? Like,
people, like, I talk about it, and it's often like, oh, because you had a bad experience with your marriage, and I'm like, I wasn't.
Well, obviously, I mean, it couldn't have been that bad. You went to Tinder afterwards.
Yeah, and I wanted to try it out, and I definitely like have had experiences over the past few years where I've like gone out with a few guys, but like it never turns into a relationship, and I just really like myself, I would like to have kids one day. I don't see myself getting married again. I might want to have a partner. Maybe I'm jaded. I don't know.
Okay, that's all legitimate. Like,
I just thought of an answer.
that's awesome. And the thing about it is, you're fucking 25. Like, this is not like colonial fucking America. You're not an old fucking maid because you're not married at 25.
Yeah, right. I think about marriage and I'm like, well, marriage was created to own property. So like I don't on like my level of like my romance and how I love people is like I fucking love a lot of people. I love a lot of men in my life individually and like it doesn't take away from either one. And it doesn't necessarily mean I'm poly. I just like maybe I don't understand romance yet. I don't know. It doesn't work in my head like it does for other people.
Well, and then, your past experiences color that, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I've never been married, but, like, I kind of want to say I want to do it just to say I did it, just for the experience of it. I also want to throw the epic fucking party. And I want the tax breaks.
True.
Like,
True.
I totally want to do, like, courthouse epic party.
True. Oh, I hope you do.
It may happen, it may not. Whatever. I'm not going to lose any fucking sleep over it.
I think about it more, and it's like, for me to be in a relationship with someone, it would have to be like, he would just have to be cool as fuck, one, and he would have to be like really smart to keep me like mentally interested.
Well, yeah, those are all very fucking important things. Like, the last thing you want is like get involved with someone and be fucking bored with them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever met a man that I've actually wanted to date. I'm 25 though.
It could happen for you, but also, how many of those men have you met in your life, like, where you already got your walls up because it's a business relationship?
Right, and also because like the guys I've met personally, and they find out I'm an escort, then it's like, oh no, off the table. Like no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sent you that clip of me and Small Hands talking about it, like, where, like, you really have to know who you are to date a sex worker. Like,
yeah. I love it. It's a good filter. Told you.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the trash sees itself out. Like, the fact that, like, if someone wants to get involved with you and they're like, they know what you do, and then they're like, I'm not cool with that. Like, fuck you. Like, you knew what you signed up for.
Yeah. Also, I see how on the other end, it takes a lot of like their own self-worth, self-love to like hold that. And like, that's the only person I want to be with anyway. I want someone who has a strong self-worth.
100%. Like, you do. Nobody, in my opinion, should be getting involved with anyone who, like, they complete me. No. Like, you're my sidecar. I'm complete.
Yes. Preach.
Like, the fact that, you complete, fuck you, you complete me. I'm like, I was a person before you came around. I plan to be a person when statistically this doesn't work out. Because the numbers are not in our favor.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I also, like, starting in this industry, people are like, well, a lot of times, like, you'll end up dating other performers, which maybe, I'm not going to say never, but, like, I just, like, don't want to, like, I just don't want to do that. I don't know.
It's a double-edged sword. It's a completely double-edged sword because, like, they'll understand your lifestyle. They'll condone your lifestyle. But you also hear fucking gossip about them. People will fucking give you shit because, like, of fucking weird jealousy issues on set. It's a whole double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And this is part of the reason, like, whenever civilian friends of mine are like, I want to get into porn, I'm like, you need to think about this real hard before you get into this shit.
Yeah, because it's a whole different life. Like,
right. And it's just how it is with any fucking sex work. And, like, most people don't get any fucking warning and just are dive in both feet, and then like, holy fuck, I'm drowning. Holy fuck, these things that I want out of my life. I want a partner in a relationship, and I'm like having problems finding one. Like, yeah. You should have gave that some thought. Someone should have warned you before you jumped in this fucking pool.
The good thing about it, like dating another sex worker, which I haven't met, like straight sex workers. I know a lot of gay sex workers, but so like this is my first time actually like meeting them, and like I have this like natural like love for them because I like get it, and like I think it fucking they have a like it sounds so dramatic, but like a purpose in the world. Like I'm sorry, but like I'm like thank you so much for doing sex work and like being an outcast of society. I fucking love you for that forever. Yeah.
Well, shit. You may still find, a romantic partner in this biz yet. And
We'll
it
see.
totally works for some people. It totally blows up for others. But that's just how any fucking relationship goes. Like, you meet someone at a fucking bar, and you're like, oh, hey, they're pretty cool. I think our genitals might match. And then
Mhm.
you work it out. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it does, it does.
Totally. Totally. I mean, I have honestly, okay, so I was in a marriage, but it didn't really count. I don't count it as a relationship because it was so just abusive, and like I just wanted to get out of my hometown. Like I just needed out. and and so I haven't really had a relationship ever. I don't it's just not in my reality, so I don't know what it means.
Like, non-monogamy sounds okay. Polyamory sounds exhausting.
Yeah, that's a lot of attention to give out.
Right, like, oh, I want to be in love with multiple people. Whew, that I ain't got the hours in the day. Like, I'm gonna rub genitals with multiple people, and my primary partner is okay with it.
I think where this is like been a thing because I've like been with men who are in relationships, and so like there's sometimes this guilt of like, well, making love to me, or like it has to be fucking instead of sensual or like loving because they have to like separate it in their mind from their relationship. And I'm like, I don't want to take you from her. Like I don't want to take anything. I wish it was people were more willing just to like make a connection in the moment and not have to be just fucking all the time.
Yeah, but
Sorry. I like to fuck too.
oh, but it's one of those things where it's often hard to differentiate. Like, fucking can be interpersonal, but like the minute like you're not just fucking, like all of a sudden there's fucking feelings. Like, I may be completely off base here, but like I remember reading a study where like women generally have to have a connection before they want to have sex, where men develop a connection through sex.
Oh yeah, okay. I've heard this before too.
So
Also.
it's one of those things where like, oh, you got to compartmentalize it to just being fucking. All of a sudden, otherwise they may catch feelings, and then it's real complicated.
Yeah. I live this place in my mind when I'm like, with a lover who's not paying me. Like, and I actually want to be with them. Like, I always say to myself, like, I just want my love to be free. Like, I want you to know, like, I don't have any expectations. I do want things, of course, but like, I want you just to like, not be afraid of like having, I feel like a lot of girls, make love or they have sex and they want a relationship or they want more. And I try to not live in that way. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And the thing about it is like, it should be a case by case situation where like, yeah, there are definitely people that are like, I've had sex with where I don't remember their names. There are definitely people I've had sex with that I woke up in the morning like, oh shit, I really want to spend more time with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's a case by case situation. Like, there's nothing wrong with catching feelings.
Yeah.
You shouldn't catch feelings for fucking everybody, and you shouldn't, regard everyone you fucking have sex with as like, oh, that's just who I rub genitals with. Cool. Like, you should judge it case by case.
I think for me, okay, to go on that is like when it comes to catching feelings, it's like because I'm also like, in the shamanic world. So like my job is to hold love. What I do is hold love for many different people. Like I honor them. And so like when I'm having sex, I do that. Like I honor who they are as a full being. And then so it gets kind of very connected, but it's not like they're not, I feel like they're safe with me because they're not so afraid of like expecting more. Like it's just in that moment. It's not all the time. Does that make sense?
A little bit. A little bit.
I'm like, I just feel like I see love in a different way than most people, or romance, maybe.
Fair enough. I mean, I see love as a chemical addiction, much like cocaine. So It's just all tricks of the fucking brain. Like your brain just goes, "Yep, I'm addicted to that person." Like it fires the dopamine receptors. I'm addicted to that person. Like I've definitely been in love with people that made no fucking sense on paper. In love with them, done stupid fucking things because the brain chemicals were like, "This is what you gotta do, Matt. This is what you gotta do." Sometimes the saying that love is blind is fucking accurate because sometimes your brain just like something about them just trips that fucking lever and then the chemicals pour in and your brain's like, yeah, I want to feel this way. I want to fucking feel
Okay,
it.
yeah. There is someone in my life I have this experience with. I'm like, he's a fucking dick, but I love him.
Oh yeah.
How have you been since this whole started, like the pandemic? Have you been dating?
I mean, I've had sex with some people.
Nice. Well, I hope so. Good.
Yeah, well, yeah, not as much as I would like, but is what it is. I'm trying to balance like not trying to die for pussy, but like trying to have pussy occasionally. Like it's just how it is. Like, are you worth dying over? Maybe. All right, we'll gamble.
You would die for
Anyone who's been involved with me in the last year, like I felt either I was super horny or I felt you were worth dying over. Either one. Like some of them were definitely super horny. No, but I've been trying to be cool. Like I've been trying to like play it safe. I don't leave my apartment much during this. I'm trying to be a responsible fucking adult.
That's really good. I had an interesting thing because I was in Peru. I left my housing in San Francisco because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go to Peru and maybe I'll just stay there for a year or I'll travel the world. That was my plan. And I go to Peru, I come back, I don't have a home. I come to LA, stay with my friend for 2 months. And then I'm like, I still don't have a home. I don't really feel like getting a home right now because I don't know where I want to live. And I go to Europe for 2 months.
Where in Europe?
I started out in Ireland. I have friends with a house there. So I was there for a month. And I did my quarantine. I got tested regularly. I was responsible, just letting everyone know. And I managed to get into Stockholm because I did 14 days quarantine in Ireland, which nobody knew you could do. And then from Stockholm was really cool because it was super open and the pandemic wasn't so bad, but nobody wore masks. It was open.
Sweden kind of fucked up a little bit. Like they were okay for me and then they fucked up.
Oh, okay. Mess.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Well, then I was like, my very best friend lives in Berlin and I was like, do you think I can get to Berlin? She's like, just try. So I got a ticket and nobody checked my passport. I went from Stockholm to Berlin. And
oh yeah, no, if you try, I learned that the hard way. Well, not the hard way, but I learned that like if you're traveling within the EU, they don't check shit.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were checking because of COVID, but they didn't.
Yeah, I only went in normal circumstances. Like I flew from Amsterdam to Munich for Oktoberfest, and I'm like, you're not gonna check any of our shit? Dope. And then I flew from Amsterdam to Helsinki for a couple days, and then back to like, oh, if you're traveling within the EU, they don't give a fuck.
They don't. And during COVID, they didn't care. Well, at least, they did care when I was going from Ireland to Sweden. They did like double, triple check me at the gate. And then once I, had to show my passport in Sweden, they like, no worries. American. Oh yeah, another day. Yeah. So, and then I went back to Peru. So I traveled around the world this whole year.
I'm so jealous of you. Like, I haven't left the country since 2018, and it bums me out so fucking much. Like, up until that point, like, I try to do at least one international trip a year. Like, I've been on 6 continents. Like, I want to, I miss places. Like, I miss drinking with strangers. Like, one of my biggest fucking passions in life is to, like, roll into local bars in random cities and be like, so where should I see in your city? Like, what restaurants, where should I go in your fucking city? Like, I'd never want to go to a resort. Like, my friends that go on cruises and go to resorts, like, I don't get it. I don't want to fucking go to a Vegas casino in another country.
Or cruise ships.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, hey, I'm spending all this money to be stuck in a small room with other fucking Americans and not figure out fucking currency. No, I want to barely speak the language, use Google Translate, try to figure out where the fuck I'm going.
a real traveler. I love that because a thing about Americans is like Americans have a hard time understanding that there's other people in the world. They just, even if they travel.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like, I feel like that is part of the problem with America is we don't have empathy for other people because we don't experience anything outside of fucking America.
Yeah, totally.
And it's just one of those things. Like, I've been to fucking South Africa. I've been to Colombia. Like, I've seen fucking like some real fucking poverty. Like, it's
yeah. That was like when I was in Peru and I was in the jungle and I was like, why don't these kids have shoes on their feet? What the fuck? And then you get them shoes and their parents sell them. And I'm like, you know, and they were being affected by the pandemic. You know, they're already in poverty and then the pandemic. And I'm like, wow, people really don't get it. Like, they really don't get it.
no, I mean, more people need to see the world. When I was in Europe, because everyone's always afraid, like, oh, you can't say you're American when you travel outside the U.S. I'm like, I have never had problems saying I'm American. And it was actually Amsterdam. Someone was like, oh, no. Americans that don't leave America are the problem. Americans that leave America are generally cool.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, yeah, I also don't look like I have any fucking money, so I'm not like a worthy kidnapping victim.
I always travel alone. I don't travel with people.
I've done my fair mix of both.
Sometimes it's nice. In Ireland, I did go. I mean, Europe is a little different. It's kind of like America, but better.
I mean, it depends on where you go. Like, I was definitely in parts of Spain where, like, I had to tell my friends, like, we need to get out of this fucking neighborhood. Like, sun's going down. We need to get the fuck out of this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like,
by the way, I love Barcelona.
I haven't been to Barcelona yet. I've been to Madrid and Altea and Alicante, like southern Spain. Did
you do the trail?
Mm-mm. So.
Okay, Alicante.
Yeah, a buddy of mine got married in. We got married in Altea in 2015. So that's like south of Altea is south of Alicante, or I'm getting the two mixed. So Alicante is like the nearest big city, and we rolled up there for like a day trip, like hit some pubs. You know, it was a good fucking time. But we were definitely up in like the hills, like, which, unlike America, the hills are where the hood is.
Yeah.
Like, the poor people in the hoods are in the hills because it's hard to get resources up there.
Yeah.
And the sun's starting to go down. I'm like, we need to get back down to city center. Like, oh no, I'm like, there are chicken bones on the sidewalk. Like, when you see just trash like that, you're generally not in a great neighborhood.
Oh my God. Speaking of this, I meant to be in India right now. Like, I was going to go to India in December, but, you know, the pandemic hit. And I was going to do, like, 5 to 6 months in India because I just wanted to be, like, way out there.
Hell yeah. Like, I do want to do India at some point. Like, there's so many places. Like, I'm sure my audience has heard this, but, like, my overall dream is to fucking do, like, a full-on around-the-world trip.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Like, I want to LA, New York, probably, like, either road trip or just do a quick flight. New York to Western Europe, bounce around Western Europe a little bit. Western Europe to like Helsinki. I want to spend more time in Finland. And then Helsinki was rad. Like, I only got 56 hours there, but apartments have saunas in them. So that was fucking awesome.
Wow. Of course they do, right? Because it's freezing there.
Well, the Finnish just like saunas. Like, my last day in town, my last half day in town, like, I just fucking detoxed in the fucking sauna because I drank so much the night before. And then it's only a 4-hour train ride from Helsinki to St. Petersburg. So get the Russian passport, do St. Petersburg, do Moscow, do the Trans-Siberian Railroad, cross fucking Russia.
Yes.
Then, time and money permitting, hit some Southeast Asia, either like Ho Chi Minh City or fucking other parts of Vietnam. Then up to Seoul, Korea, Tokyo, home.
I like that. You got to do it. You should just do it.
And money and time.
Okay. It's coming. You're going to do it.
I mean, if you want to buy my way, I will happily, like, you know, carry your shit for...
Let's go.
You heard it. It's on the internet, guys.
So this was actually my plan. Like, I was going to travel the world for, like, because, you know, the presidential election, I was like, I'm just going to stay out of the country for the next 4 years because I didn't know what was going to happen. And that was my plan, but the pandemic came.
I mean, I technically have a fiance in Australia because if shit went real sideways, I made plans with someone I know in Australia to marry me to get out if I needed to.
Oh, smart. Yeah, I was gonna marry my friend in Berlin. Yeah, but I oh, I was gonna say something. It was so good. It was something about South America. Oh, Colombia. So I meant to go to Colombia in October. I was gonna go to outside of Medellin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I canceled my flight the day before because I was like worried about the pandemic. Like, oh, the Peruvian president like was impeached the same week, so I was just like holding off.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, but I really want to go to Colombia.
Bogota was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. Parts of it were real sketchy, but it was a good time. Like,
I've heard this.
like I had a good time down there. Like, parts of it, yeah, were wildly like urban decay and sketchy, but like it was a good time. I definitely got to do more Latin America because I've only been to Bogota and I've been to Havana. Cuba was a
Oh
wild place.
wow, that is an interesting place because not many people have been there.
I am super happy I got to go because like we went in February 17, right after Trump got elected, and it was shortly thereafter that they closed the restrictions. I was like on one of the first U.S. direct flights to Havana.
Wow.
The Cuban people are on such a hustle; it's amazing. Good eats, beautiful like Spanish architecture, like just oh my god, I would love to go back. I'd love to go back. I'm not sure. I ended up going with like 10 friends. It was insane
Oh wow.
because everyone's like, "We're going to Cuba," and like we got an Airbnb that was 11 bed, like 12 bath. It was huge.
Wow.
Like the photos we saw on Airbnb did not do it justice. Like it was insane. This place, and it was $540 a night, split between 10 of us.
I love Latin America for this. But oh well, I was gonna say like speaking of Latin America is like, you know, I basically lived there for a long time than most people this past year. And what I learned most is like how fucking ignorant it is for me not to know Spanish because like so much of the world speaks Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, get the fuck on that, Nolina. And second of all is like, we are ignorant here in America as fuck.
Wild how like ignorant on like other cultures we are. The fact that like Spanish isn't mandatory for Americans is wild. Like, except for the Canadians, every other country in this hemisphere, except for like Brazil, speaks fucking Spanish.
Right. Right. And I actually was there and I like somehow managed, because I don't speak Spanish and then I definitely didn't speak Spanish. I managed to make like really good friends with the locals, even though some of them didn't speak barely any English. We just like learned to communicate and it was really cool. And they still message me, but I Google Translate back and forth.
Yeah. Pro tip for anyone, Google Translate works offline.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's amazing.
I couldn't imagine, like, I'm bummed that I didn't start traveling the world younger, but I couldn't also imagine trying to do it without smartphones.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh, especially alone. People are like, you travel alone? Like you went down to Latin America alone? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'll just figure it out. I'm kind of like at the point in my life where I'm just not afraid. I mean, I've been an escort. So.
I mean, that's the way to be. That is the way to be because at the end of the day, like, the way I look at it is like, unless the city is an active fucking war zone, there are people living and thriving there.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have a little bit of common sense and be like, hey, this is not where I should be, you should be all right.
Yeah.
Like, ghettos look like ghettos pretty much anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Except in Las Vegas.
Most people are good people. Like, most people are good people. And that is another thing I needed to learn on my own because, you know, I'm not blaming my family. I don't want to say that. But, like, you know, you grow up in this culture and you're supposed to be afraid of everyone, especially, like, third world country, afraid. And then I go down there and, like, there's amazing, beautiful people, incredible artists, like, genius. And, you know, you just, like, open your mind when you travel.
Hold on one sec. I bought this in fucking Colombia.
Hot. Beautiful.
You know, like, when you're like art in other countries, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, and
Why?
it really matters down there. Like in Latin America, it's like everyone does art. Like here, it's like shamed still.
Oh yeah, well here it's like, you sure you want to do art? You sure? You sure?
Yeah, so annoying.
But we wouldn't have made it through this fucking pandemic if it wasn't for art. If it wasn't for people creating art, we wouldn't have made it through this shit.
That is like life. Like you can't just be a robot. Like, why'd you come to exist? Did you come here to be a robot?
I mean, I came here because, two people had unprotected sex. I didn't really come here with a plan.
Fair enough.
Some days it doesn't feel like they had a plan either, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. But here we are.
Here we are, for the time being, for this moment, is what it is. But holy shit, we have been going for quite some time. I'm going to call last call on this motherfucker before I have way too much content that I have to edit. I mean, not that I'm going to edit much out of this, but I still have to, like, review it. Nolina Nyx,
fair enough.
where can they find you on the things? Where can they spend money on you?
OnlyFans, Nolina Nyx. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram.
Where?
Watch out from... What do you mean where?
Like, what are the Twitter and the Instagrams? What are they specifically?
Oh, sorry. At Nolina Nyx. Oh, I'm going to fix this. Okay, so Twitter, at Nolina Nyx. Instagram, at Nolina Nyx. OnlyFans, at Nolina Nyx with 3 X's. And I'm going to have a podcast coming out soon. So check out for that. I'm really excited.
Yeah,
it's going to be me. Sorry?
I'm excited for it too, even though I'm not a part of it anymore.
Sorry. It's really exciting. It's me and my friend John. He is a NASA scientist. So we think we're going to be like an interesting duo.
No, it should be good times. I am excited for it. Check it out when it drops. The minute we have the name of it, I will let everyone know. But as always, you can find me at Matt_Slayer on Twitter, Matt Slayer on Instagram, Matt F. Slayer on Facebook, twitch.tv/Matt F. Slayer. You can find the podcast at And Now We Drink on Twitter, and Now We Drink _ on Instagram. And until next week, drink up, motherfuckers.
Drink up. Thank you.